Happy Sunday. I see 4 comments already. Let me get over here. Good morning, or actually, it's 1 o'clock. Good afternoon. We're just getting out of bed, so it's technically morning for us. But yeah, if you can hear me, please drop a 1 in the chat. This grab your drink. Let me know what you're drinking. Let me know where you're coming in from. Um, hey Lonnie. Hey Rhonda. Be good to all. Yay, I'm glad that you caught the live. Be good to all. If you guys will all do me a favor and hit the thumbs up, that helps the algorithm and it helps other people know that we're live when we're live, because a lot of people end up missing the lives. I'm not sure what's going on with YouTube and its notifications, but that just helps. So if you could hit the live, because you know how you feel when you miss the live, sis. So you will be wishing somebody helped you out. So if you could help all of us out and hit the thumbs up. Okay, I see some ones. You guys can hear me. Woo! Okay. I had to put this on at 1. I had the thought at 12, like 15 to do it, but I was like in such a cryy place. I was like, and I didn't even get tissue just in case. But anyway, I'm glad you guys could join me. I hope you guys are all doing well. I've got my coffee. I know you're not supposed to have the coffee in your hand when you have the baby in your hand, but we're going to have to give me grace. I'm going to hold it over him like this. So, I titled this Tell You Something, or I feel like God has been trying to tell me something. And so whoever needs to hear this, I'm saying it for you. And I hesitate to say God because I know some of us have a sort of vicarious relationship. One, I think our relationship with God is personal, right? So I was raised Catholic, so we don't necessarily like talk about it all the time, where I know there are other religions who believe that you're supposed to talk about it all the time, and it's just different, right? I mean, and I think there's a lot of shame with me associated with it. Like, a lot of people who go to church are like, God is against LGBTQI people. God is against bastards. All these things that I fall into a category, right? My dad was married when I was born, but he wasn't married to my mama. You know what I'm saying? So I'm always like, the way that I hear the gospel, it makes it sound like I'm excluded from that. But I do believe in God. I do believe that he speaks to me. I just don't necessarily believe in all the practices of the church. Anyway, but there was stuff heavy on my mind and on my heart that I wanted to share. One, because a lot of you guys who are still in the TTC struggle reach out to me. I try to say uplifting things. Sometimes I say the wrong thing. Like, I was talking to Laura, I think about a week ago now, and I think I said like, be positive. Whatever I said, I cringed after I said it. And then like a couple of beats, because I think I paused afterwards, and then a couple of beats later, like basically she checked me, which I was grateful for, because it's not the right thing to say, right? And sometimes it's okay to say nothing. And so I am grateful for her giving me grace for that. But I think also for all of us, like, if we can give people grace when they say the quote unquote wrong thing, in the not quote unquote, it is the wrong thing. Like, sometimes nothing needs to be said. And I know like a lot of things have been said to me on this journey where I think they were coming from a place of goodness. I'm going to give them grace. If for no other reason, like, I feel like giving people grace is also like forgiveness, because when we don't forgive, it only really impacts us, right? Like, what is that saying? It was Carrie Fisher. Like, resentment is like taking the pill of poison, or taking the poison and hoping that your enemy dies. Like, it doesn't really matter to them whether or not you forgive them. It's really all about you. And I didn't understand that until my brother was murdered. Oh my God, this is going to be rambly. I can tell because I'm all over the place. But so one, I think if you can find grace for other people who are trying to comfort you in some way, but just don't have the tools. And I think some of that comes from our own childhood trauma, that we don't have the tools. It's not necessary. I want everybody to be accountable. So I'm not going to say it's not their fault at all. Which one of you guys just went in that room? Liberty, Justice, come out of there. Justice. I can't tell them apart right now. Their hair is so long. Anyway, sorry. Oh, there you are. That is Justice. So sometimes things are learned behavior. Sometimes things have been modeled to us. Bad behavior has been modeled to us through our being raised, right? Through our childbearing, or not childbearing, child being reared as a child years. And then it's up to us to reparent ourselves, right? And so I'm in the process of reparenting myself. I have been in that process probably for the last 5 years, 6 years. And so for that, I am grateful to God, because had he not delayed me getting pregnant, I probably wouldn't have gone so voraciously like down that path, right? I had a lot of time for introspection. And so I think for all of us in the way, that part is important, that we heal ourselves. It's easy enough to like be mad at the people who parented us. And I want to be clear, it's not necessarily a parent that parents us or that models adult behavior for us, right? It could be an aunt, it could be an uncle, foster mom, whoever it is that's helping rear you. Who has influence over your life. You know, we have those aunties that we look up to, those uncles. So they're modeling behavior that we will then go on to repeat. But once we become an adult, it is our responsibility to figure out what's right and what's wrong. And we can no longer sort of attribute that. It helps to understand it. But I think when I first started therapy, I was very as a teenager, I was very much like wanting to forgive everyone, or not even forgive, because I didn't have resentment. It was more wanting to excuse everyone, right? I was more into, I'm going to get to you guys' comments too. Sorry. I'm just going to talk for a little bit because I got to tell you something. It's on my mind. I was very much just wanting to understand where they came from. Like, for example, my mom was 17 when she had me. As a 17-year-old, she had been orphaned as a 14-year-old. So there were a lot of circumstances that could have impacted her, the way that she parented me. And so I was very understanding of those. However, bless you, that doesn't change how I was parented. Do you know what I mean? Understanding what happened and having the experience of what happened are two very different things. I'm not angry at my mom. I have no anger to her. I feel like she's super courageous. Like, everything that she went through is super, super courageous. However, and I understand that she did the best that she could with the information she had at the time. Does that mean it was ideal? It doesn't. And it's okay to say that. And I talk to some people, you know, and obviously I have an adult child, so I have a different perspective than a lot of you all. But I know that I was not the best parent. And it's not easy to say that. There are things that I could have done differently, but I had not started the work yet. Right. Well, it's not true. I had started working on it. I had not acknowledged that my parenting could have been different. I was more into explaining why it wasn't, if that makes sense. Why it wasn't different. And so there are things that I made a concerted effort to raise her differently, but there were some parts of it that I was too close to recognize that they should be done differently. You know, it's easy enough to say, I'm not going to spank my child. There's a lot of research to study that. No judgment if you do. There's a lot of research to suggest that it does more harm long-term than good. Tons and tons of research. And you can see it in like aggression patterns, especially for male children. You know, because it teaches the child that the person who is bigger and stronger is the person that's in control, right? When they're very small, they can't differentiate between like, you're the parent and I'm the child. Like, you're both two human beings. And so while I did not physically try and control her, I very much verbally tried to control her. And a couple of things triggered this like over the last week. So I feel like I got to talk about it. I was watching this thing about 11 signs of childhood trauma, and it was talking about like the guy, and I'll put the links. I meant to do it before, but I was running around with this little one. This guy is talking about how sometimes we talk to children in a way that we would not talk to adults. Like, look at me when I'm talking to you, pay attention, hold still. Like, you wouldn't do that to another adult, right? And so it becomes confusing for the child of like where their agency ends and begins. And I know there's biblical phrase of like, spare the rod, spoil the child. Children should be seen and not heard, all of those sort of things. If you believe they're right, I'm not coming for you. Please don't come for me. Like, we can have different beliefs and still get along, right? The world becomes a strange place when we only associate with people who think and behave exactly like we do. I would venture to say it's kind of cultish. So I don't want to be in a cult. I'm not encouraging you to be in a cult. You don't have to think the way that I think. But I think there is, I could have spoken to her differently. In my mind, because I wasn't going to hit her, I wanted to control her with my words. And I think it's the wrong approach to parenting, to control. Are you getting hungry? I'm going to have to flip you guys up so I can nurse him. He was sleepy, but are you hungry? Or are you just flipping your head? Okay. We'll figure it out. I might have to nurse him. He did eat before. Oh, and I did bring a bottle over here. Because for some reason, he's not, for some reason he's going through a growth spurt, so his eating is a little more voracious. Although I weighed him today and he is 13 pounds and 8 ounces, so 13 and a half pounds, which is amazing. Okay, let me try to stay on topic. So, and recently, I say this because recently, Cheyenne has been calling me out on it, but we haven't really had like a healthy conversation about it. And I know a lot of you guys are like, has she come over? There's other things going on in our relationship besides her being busy, like just to be 100 with you all, that we have to work out. And I don't necessarily know that we need to work it out in front of the baby because babies pick up on energy, right? And so, not that I think it'll be hostile, but I'm sure it's going to be tense for both of us. And I think as parents, even as children, hell, as humans trying to connect with other humans, we have to learn to just listen without judgment, right? And that is easier said than done, because someone will tell you something about yourself and you will, most of us, not all of us, immediately feel defensive. Like, you just, everything tightens up. For me, it presents as a tightening. My throat tightens, and because my throat tightens, I have to start forcing the air out, which is shouting, right? It's like, if it's not shouting, it's very aggressive because I'm trying to overcome the physicalities of my reaction. And so I have to force the air out to get it, or I say nothing. And so it makes the person who's trying to tell me something not willing to go on, especially with this dynamic that I've created with Cheyenne, where I've always used my words as a form of control. And so then I'm trying to talk to her and I'm forcing it out. So it feels like we're repeating the cycle again, even though it's not the same dynamic. Like, I'm not feeling in control. I'm trying to communicate. And because I struggle with that, I'm forcing it out. And so then she shuts down. So I would just encourage, maybe that doesn't apply to you. I just need to say it, right? And so, like, for me, I have to go into it thinking, do not be defensive. Don't be anxious. Like, you guys are trying to solve a problem. And of course, it's easier said than done, right? You can just, like, when somebody's running around and you're like, calm down. Does that ever work? It doesn't. But something to be mindful for, because in times of crisis, we fall back on what is comfortable, right? What is normal, what is habit. And so it's easy. For me, it's better to talk about it when I'm not in that crisis mode, so that I can have learned that behavior, right? Because muscle memory is strong. And so it's easier for me to fall back on what I've always done. It makes it harder for the person to tell you what's on their mind, though, the moment we get defensive. And abuse comes in different forms, right? So while I've never physically abused her, I've definitely verbally abused her. And I have to be open to what that means. I did not do it from a place of intent. You guys know I watch a lot of true crime. There are people who intentionally hurt their children. It was not my intent. It was a behavior that I did not examine properly. I didn't really think about all of these things until I started trying to conceive at an older age. And I do feel like that is why it was delayed. So I think in the wait, find your purpose. On the journey, find your purpose. How can you make yourself a better person? And that will help the journey. And it will ultimately help you be, right, a better parent, a better person, even if being a parent isn't in the cards for you, because everybody doesn't get their take-home baby. I recognize that. But if you come out the other side a better person, a more holistic human being, a more fulfilled human being, a more self-aware human being, because I do find that in chatting with a lot of people in the trying to conceive community, a lot of us lack self-awareness, or our level of self-awareness is very low. And I mean, I can say, probably before I came to New York, I probably had 2% self-awareness, like seriously, 2%. Meaning I would do things like, and self-awareness comes in many levels. I'm going to give it in a simplified way in case this resonates with you, right? Like standing, getting off of the subway or going down to the subway and standing right in front of the stairs. That lacks self awareness because there are people behind me that have to get by me, but I don't have enough self awareness to recognize that in the moment. Does that make sense? That my body is now blocking other people. I'm in the way, but I stand there anyway because for me that was comfortable rather than just like getting into the crowd and finding a space. Hopefully that makes sense to people. Or, being in the line in the grocery store and like not having your credit card ready or whatever, and then you get there and then everybody's waiting for you while you look through 9 different handbags that somehow you have, or a handbag, a diaper bag, a back, that's lack self-awareness. And some people could be like, well, I don't care if those people have to wait, they can just have to wait. Again, lack self-awareness. Like your focus is only on you and not on your impact. And I think like once I feel like I want to be also aware of my impact. Like, am I impacting this person positively? Am I impacting this person negatively? Like, what impact am I having while I am here on earth? How do I, like, because we have an opportunity to uplift people, we have an opportunity to be neutral and have no impact. We have an opportunity to uplift people. We have an opportunity to negatively impact people. And so I think like once we raise our level of consciousness, I think most of us will want to have a positive impact on people. Like I definitely want to have a positive impact on Sugar Bear. I definitely want to have a positive impact on Cheyenne. Do I think all of my parenting was horrible? No. Do I think there was room for improvement? Yes. Did I abuse her? Yes. Am I offended when she says I abuse her? No. And so I think if you want to have that closer relationship, if you want to raise your relationships to a higher level, or if you want to raise your own vibration to a higher level, acknowledging all of that is important. And I'm still a work in progress. I think if you guys, bless you, I think it was on the other channel. Like I had met someone, I went out, I met a guy. I was kind of iffy about him at first, but I was like, again, I have baggage. I have a habit of second guessing myself because as a child, I was always second guessed. Like, are you telling the truth? Are you lying? Are you, which as a young age, it made me figure out like adults don't know. Cause I remember, oh my God, I'm all over the place. 3rd grade, I got blamed. There was a girl, Angela Brown, who cheated off my test. I was going to West Fresno Christian Academy. I went to a different school every year until I got to high school. So I was at West Fresno Christian Academy. Angela Brown cheated off my test. And this was a school that had corporal punishment. They didn't know which one of us was lying, so we both got paddled, which I thought was so unfair. But she wouldn't like admit that she cheated, and they didn't know who did it, so they punished her, which is really weird. Like, why would the person who had their paper copied be beaten? You know what I mean? Like, it was a very strange adult behavior, but then it teaches you kind of to second guess yourself. Like, does it matter if I tell the truth, right? Or I would be told things like if I'm crying, like, I'll give you a reason to cry. So it's one, invalidating my feelings that I'm crying, right? Because we all want to be acknowledged for how we're feeling. So it taught me to really not talk about how I was feeling or express how I was feeling because it didn't really matter if it didn't suit the adults, right? So and then the other thing is second guessing it. Like, well, maybe I don't have a reason to be crying, right? So that is something I'm overcoming of like learning to trust my intuition. So this guy, I had a little bit of iffy, but I gave him a pass because again, I'm second guessing myself. Then he invites himself over. So he was like, he had asked me if I wanted to do something, and I was like, no, I can't do it. It was last minute, first of all. I can't do it because I've got groceries coming tonight. And so then he was like, well, why don't I come over and bring a bottle of champagne? And so I just put no, and like, we were texting, I put no and like the laughing hysterically faces. And he got offended. Like, I mean, offended, and was like, oh, you were acting like I'm some kind of creep, blah, blah, blah. All I said was no and the happy face and the laughing faces, right? I never said he was a creep. You invited yourself over and I said no. Which was all of the red flags of like, I should have trusted my intuition at first. Something was not right with this guy, right? Because who invites himself over, one? And if you do and the person says no, how is that offensive to you? Unless you were up to no good, right? Like, it's my space. I have a right to say whether I want you in it or not. Which is why, because we did what do you call them? The premiere yesterday. So we were all live in the chat, which is why like impressing upon Sugar Bear about consent. Like, and so I ask him, even though he can't say it, I want to model that behavior for him, because anything about our space and our body, we should be able, without shame, to give consent. Yes, I want you here. Yes, I want that touch. And even though he can't say no, and obviously I have to change his diaper, but the diaper is like the diapering area is a very private area. So I want to relay to him that someone should be giving consent or asking for consent. That way, if there's ever a bad touch, he doesn't feel uncomfortable saying no. One, because the person hasn't asked for consent, and two, they're touching him in a way that makes him feel uncomfortable, right? So he has a voice in that, and no shame about it, because I think shame is a very dangerous thing. So yeah, the guy was upset. So then, of course, the red flags are going off, and like, thank God I told him no, because can you imagine me telling him no about coming over? Had he been in my apartment, this stranger, and I told him no, like, what if he wanted to go for a kiss? And I told him no. Imagine how he would have behaved. So I always feel like that's a thing of like when you tell someone no, how they react. So tell them no often and early is what I would say. People in your life who you kind of know, who are new to you or whatever. There was another situation where I ended up like not have. Are you hungry or not? No, you just are mad that you're in this swaddle. Anybody else feel like the swaddle is kind of like a straight jacket? I'm trying out this zippered swaddle for him because the Velcro ones, he kung fu's out of there. He's like, mm-mm. Anyway, so, and it was a friend, it was related to this TTC journey. Now, why she was watching the channel, I don't know, because I wasn't one of those people who were like, oh, I have a channel, because I created a channel so I could have a conversation with people who weren't in my life. Just because I was worried about the judgment, right? Like, why are you trying to have a baby? Aren't you too old for that? Like, people have even I have him here, and when I was in California, I went to my bonus mom's birthday, and one of my sister's cousins, when I came up with the stroller, and she was like, oh, that's a cute baby. Whose baby is that? And my sister and I just looked at each other and smiled, like waiting for her to register that it's mine. And then she was like, I know that's not your baby. She was like, aren't we a little too old to be having babies? Well, is that really a conversation for now? Because he's already here. So does it matter? Do you know what I'm saying? Again, lack of self-awareness. So I created the channel so that I could have private conversations with you all. And then she had seen the video where I talked about my miscarriage, and I was very detailed. I said the dates of when I had the miscarriage, and I recorded the video in the same year that I had the miscarriage. So she put two and two together that I had seen her the week of the miscarriage, right? I think the miscarriage finalized like on Tuesday, and I went to see her. She was on the East Coast. I went to see her that Saturday. Somehow that angered her that I had not told her about the miscarriage. She didn't tell it to me. She told it to my sister. My sister actually did. I'm going to be messy a little bit here. My sister didn't tell me. Another family member that my sister told me. And I thought that was strange. And so then this now former friend is calling me wanting to talk about it. It's obviously, to me, it's not urgent because it happened months ago. At this point, it was like a year later when this anger was shared. And I don't know if it was like weed, alcohol, whatever. We had already talked about it, and this person never conveyed to me any anger. But at this point, there was anger. I was on the phone with my mom. She keeps calling me, and I was like, I will call you back. Then I get a text of like, oh, you're talking to your mom. At least your mom is still alive for you to talk to. Again, I don't know if it was substances, whatever it was. I just thought that was like bizarre. Like, I'm talking to my mom. I'm not going to tell my mom I'm going to call her back so I can talk to you about something that you're mad about, right? Like, you've been mad apparently. So it can wait. It can wait till tomorrow. It can wait till next week. Like, what, you know what I'm saying? So then she was basically like, never mind or something. So, okay, never mind. You said never mind. The next day I had an IUI scheduled. This person, before I go to the IUI, and it was a Sunday, I believe it was a Sunday. It was either a Saturday or Sunday. I know it was a weekend day that I had this IUI. I was still at RMA, sends me these nasty text messages, just like going off, like nasty, 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 that I don't think she would have said if we had talked like in real time together. So I just blocked her. I blocked her. One, you're stressing me out before I go onto this IUI. And you know, everybody says you're supposed to relax. Does it help? It's like, calm down. That doesn't help either. But you are meant to relax. And she's getting my blood pressure really high. She doesn't know what's going on in my life. I haven't said I'm going to have an IUI today. I don't feel that I need to, because you shouldn't behave that way to people who are your friends. Like, you are going off about stuff. Like, clearly, I have to question if we were ever friends, because you're real angry that you didn't get to talk to me last night. This is not about us talking last night. This is something deeper. And so I blocked her. I was done. Like, there's no further need for us to ever speak again. Like, there's something else going on that I don't have control over. And the way that you're behaving toward me, I'm not going to try to sort it out. Again, I don't want to be defensive, but I don't feel that I owe you an explanation about why I didn't tell you I had a miscarriage. If anything, it's more of a question of like introspection for you, of like, oh, I wonder why she didn't feel connected enough to me to say that. But it's not from a place of anger. Like, her words specifically, like, you were in my face for 2 days and didn't tell me. Girl, I didn't sleep with your man. What do you mean I was in your face for 2 days? You know what I'm saying? Like, we've taken this now to a very strange level. So that was probably one of my first steps of like listening to my own voice and not second guessing myself. I second guess myself. I still do. Yes, I do. But I know more now, right? And so I'm striving to do that. That was on the journey to having Sugar Bear, right? So that incident happened for a reason. Like, God was showing me a way. And so I took the lesson and now I'm expanding on it. Because I don't want to abuse him in any way, verbally, physically, mentally. I want to give him the best version of myself. And my auntie Cookie has this saying of, what is this saying? And it's not her saying, but she's the one who brought it to me, so I associate it with her, of like, the only person you should try to wake up and be better than is the person you were yesterday. And so I take that to heart. Every day I try to wake up and be a better person. And so that's why I'm watching like different YouTube things about childhood trauma, and like recovering from that. There's one lady, I think it's the crappy childhood fairy. I see you guys' questions. I'm going to answer them. I just need to get this off because you guys know how my brain will go somewhere and not come back. The crappy childhood fairy, I watch her a lot. And then where's my phone? Because this guy, I was just watching him this morning. It was like 11 times. Sugar Bear, what did Mama do with her phone? Oh, it's right there. Okay, hold on. Let me see. Oh, shoot. And of course I drop it. Hang on, guys. Sorry. I got him in my hands. But you know what? My feet work similar to my hands. I don't know if I ever told you guys this. That when I was young, for some reason, I had this horrible dread that I might lose control of my hands. So I taught myself to pick up things with my feet. It's very strange. When Shamika was over here, she asked me for something. I had the baby in my hand and I picked it up with my foot and I gave it to her. And I could tell once I did it, she was freaked out. I don't know if it's because my foot touched it or because I was picking up things with my feet. But anyway, see how I go off on tangents. Let me just find this man's channel. Wait, I sent one to my sister. Oh, it's 11 oddly Pacific. It's Pacific, not Pacific. Pacific is the ocean, Tanika. Patrick Teahan, Teahan. He's a licensed clinical social worker, so like a therapist, but not a psychiatrist. Patrick Teahan, T as in Tom, Eahan. Anyway, so, you know, none of us had the perfect childhood, but we're all here. We're here by the grace of God. And we're living and breathing, and every day is an opportunity to become a better version of ourselves. So, which is why I started the other channel. I got to go back over there and start recording more about how I'm evolving. But yeah, I was just called. I was like very emotional this morning. I'm glad I'm like a little calmer. Oh, look, he finally went to sleep. This one, it's this swaddle though. He did. We did sleep training last night and he went to sleep. He was in this swaddle. This was his second one. The first one he busted out of like Houdini. And this one, and he didn't cry a lot because I don't like to hear him cry. He just was, he fights his sleep, and usually I'm rocking him, but I know that's not going to work like when he goes off to school and whatever else. So I'm trying to, even though it's killing me, do the sleep training, but it went really well last night. And I think it's this swaddle. And it's a, well, I'm not going to lift it. It's a zip up one, and it's like a two-way zipper instead of the Velcro, which that seems to have helped. And it's got like little pockets for his arms, but not for his arms to be up like this. That's going to be the next one. But he's very much into moving his arms, if that makes sense. Yeah. So, oh my God, I'm so all over the place. Let me take a sip of my coffee and take a moment. So at this point, I will say I'm grateful for the wait. I'm grateful that it took me 6 years. It was technically 5 years because I got pregnant in the fifth year, and then it's 9 months. So because I had him in June, and in June of 2023, and I started in May of 2017. That's where I get the 6 years from. Yesterday, I was reading comments, and a bunch of people who are, I think, new to the channel kept coming in and asking how old that I was when I had this baby. 52. So I put that short up yesterday, and someone commented how selfish it was of me because when I am, what did they say? Something like when he's 40, I'll be 92. Okay, God willing. You know what I mean? I don't see that as selfish because, like I said, there's no guarantee that you how long our parents will be here, right? Ideally, in the best situation, we will bury our parents, because I know it's horrible for a parent to bury a child. My brother, like I said, was murdered when he was 25. One of my brothers was when he was 25, and my mom had to bury him, and it was the worst experience. I might tell that story one day. I don't know. My mom might get mad, but anyway, it was the worst experience. I'll just say it at that. Um, and also, like, that brother had been in prison, and so we became closer while he was in prison because we wrote lots of letters, and he like explained to me how I had not been a good big sister, and that I was very much in what he calls my mother's female regime of, like, I would tell, like, mainly because I was scared of my mother. Like, I did not want to be in trouble. So like, if you're doing something I know you're not supposed to be doing, I'm telling, because you don't listen to me. And so, and I think I said that in another video, like, I used to wrestle with him until one day I realized he was stronger than me and I left it alone. But I'm a 70s baby. I was born in 71. He was born in 76. We were latchkey kids, him more so than me, but I was there with him, which I reposted it on my reels yesterday. If you follow me on Instagram, about the 70s babies, being the latchkey kids and the older siblings babysitting the younger siblings. My grandmother, who I know as my grandmother, was around for a while when I was younger. We lived with her till I was 5, and she was very much involved. And then there was a point where she came to live with us. So I feel like less latchkey, but very much identify with being latchkey. So anyway, I would tell on him because I did not want to be in trouble. And he, I swear, stayed in trouble. He was on punishment all the time. Like, he was in so much trouble, you couldn't just spank him. Like, they would put him in his room. It was, I'm remembering specifically a guy named Larry would put him in his room, and he would be in there for like a week. Like, he had to come home, do his homework, and go right to his room. I should have looked out more for him, but I felt helpless as a child. I don't ever want my children to feel helpless. I did not have words for it then, so I did not have a way to avoid that with Cheyenne. There was very much a part of me that believed while I was raising her that children are supposed to fear their parents, and it's not true, because then they don't necessarily have you as a confidant, right? I'm not saying be friends with them. Like, I know there are some people who are, I'm not judging you if you're friends with your kids. That's not what I'm suggesting, though. I want to be approachable, though. I don't want to be friends as in, like, I never provide any guidance or structure, because friends don't necessarily provide that, right? Or feelings of safety, although your friends should provide some feeling of safety. If they're not, you got to get away from them. But I could have been a better big sister. I fully acknowledge that. And if I had it to do over again, it would be different, but he's gone. Um, my mother lost her mother at 14. So there is no guarantee that the parent child relationship is going to last until the child is in their 40s, is what my point is, from both sides, right? So when the woman commented, or the young lady commented, that I was selfish for having him at 52, tomorrow is promised to none of us. So we have to be the best person that we are today. And if we get tomorrow, let's try to be a better person tomorrow. Do you know what I'm saying? Um, and get rid of toxic people in our lives. Like, if you feel like it's a relationship worth salvaging and there's something that you guys can come together, but sometimes we grow apart from our friends. Sometimes people are not really our friends, they're associates at best, you know. My childhood best friend and I are still in contact, but we're not friends the way that we were in our childhood. Like, she was my first roommate. Like, I met her in 7th grade. And we stayed friends. And again, I'm telling you, I went to different schools. So in junior high, I went to 3 different schools. I went to Kings Canyon in my 7th grade year. I went to Computech in my 8th grade year for half the year. And then I finished junior high at St. Teresa's Catholic School, because I had been misbehaving, so my mom sent me to Catholic school. But we remain friends. Now I'll go visit her in Florida, and her people, her new friends, will say, "Well, why do you say she's your best friend? I'm your best friend now, whatever." And so we clarify it's our childhood best friends. Like, if we met now, I don't know that we'd be friends, you know, necessarily. Um, but we have that common childhood bond. And so I do feel like she'll be in my life forever. But there are other friends we are going to outgrow. There are other people who are not friends, who are associates, that are going to outgrow. And it's okay. Find friends that match where you are, who can meet you where you are. And I think when you model that behavior, it's important, because then it models that behavior for children. It's not that you're throwing them away. I used to hold on to people all the time because I had a fear of abandonment, because I felt like my dad had abandoned me. Even though he was around, he wasn't around. Um, my emotional needs were not being met. So I would hold on to people forever, no matter if they mistreated me or not. And I'm very much a recovering people pleaser. I would go out of my way to make people happy because I didn't want them to leave. But it's okay for people to leave if they are no longer serving your well-being, right? And not that people should serve you, but the people around you should be healthy and happy, or working on healing, and you guys can have healing in common. But if they're not serving that purpose, you got to let them go. You have to let them go for your own sake, right? It's just like, if you're in a river, you don't have on a life vest, or maybe you have on a life vest, and we'll say that the life vest is part of your healing, right? Like, you've gotten that on, of like, you want to do better, you want to be better, and the other person doesn't have on this life vest, and they're still going through all their trauma, and you're trying to like help them, and they don't want to be helped. They're dragging you down. You're going to drown in that river, but you have on your life vest. So in life, you got to let them go. Like, hopefully they can swim their way out of it, but your life vest is not strong enough to hold both of you up. They got to put on a life vest too. So if the people in your life are not meeting you where you are, you got to let them go. And that might be things that you need to do in the wait. It might even be the partner that you're trying to conceive with. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I knew I should have got tissue. I'm going to wipe it on his muslin. Don't judge me, because this is what we wipe up spit up with. So, um, you does that make sense? Like, sometimes you got to let people go. And I think these are productive things to work on while we're waiting. And thank God I did. And like, I journaled a lot. So I'm a very different person now than I was in 2017. And I hope I can say that every single year. I'm a very different person than I was the year before, because I was waiting. If God had not made me wait for this child, who knows what kind of parent I would be? Who knows what kind of human being I would be right now? Because I would have just jumped into raising the baby, not having sleep, trying to figure out things, very much worried about like superficial things, you know? Because that was a part of my life too, of like very superficial, of like, how do things look? What's the appearance? I mean, through talking to you guys, I've learned to let those things go. Because appearances are a facade. It's a front. It's what people see. Now, I'm not saying, you know, as far as appearances, go around with your hair uncombed and your teeth unbrushed and your nails dirty. And I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is I put a lot of emphasis on appearance. And I do that much less now. And also I'm not as guarded. Like my sister came to help me with the house and it was a mess. It was definitely a mess. Um and one of the videos I watched last night, sometimes the clutter is also a symptom of some childhood trauma. And so like your of being dysregulated. But the thing is, like, when everything was happening, I felt so ashamed of being dysregulated that then I shamed myself. And like, I've done that a long time. I didn't know you couldn't do that until I had the therapist that explained to me about giving myself grace. And it's still hard for me to give myself grace, but I'm working on it because it feels so good when I do it. But that is not how I was raised as a child. You know, nobody gave me grace. Nobody gave anyone else grace. We were all very hard on each other. I'm still very hard on myself, which I don't hate because I feel like it's made me driven. It's made me accomplish what I've been able to accomplish. But I also have to remember that I'm a human being, right? And that I'm not going to do everything perfect because I'm not perfect. The definition of being human is being imperfect. Um, so I was struggling with that, but I let my sister in and she helped, you know, like asking for help, receiving help was very difficult for me. And she was like upset when she got here. She was like, you got me over here talking about you because she came in to like clean the kitchen. There was stuff that had mold on and she went and got bleached because I just couldn't go in there anymore. But it was because of shame. Like, how did I let it get like this? And it was like building up and building up. And so, but those are things that I have to talk about because otherwise they're going to strangle me, if that makes sense. Like, I have to say, like, this is where I am and give myself grace for being in that place and figure out how to get out and how not to be back in that. Like I had that feeling when I came back from California of like, oh my God, I deserve so much more. But there's a part of me, as far as like my home environment and keeping it clean, and orderly. But there's a part of me that's so dysregulated that I can't figure out where to start, which I'm gonna work on that next week. But I got trash bags coming. I'm gonna throw stuff out because there's also a thing of like holding on to things and being a pack rat and when am I gonna have this again? So there's like a lot in that that's more than just having a messy house, right? There's a lot of stuff to unpack. So I started going to therapy again. Like I'm doing every other week instead of weekly, but I resumed that and just figuring out like what's going on. Because I gotta understand it so that I don't model it for the baby, right? Because I want him to have the best shot at being healthy. And even I remember my friend Marie would joke back in the day of like, our kids are gonna have to go through therapy no matter what. It's a matter of how much therapy they need. I'm gonna dare to say Cheyenne is probably gonna need more therapy than Sugar Bear. Would I change that if I could? Yes. But I think also part of it, if she can work through it, will help build her character in the way that what I went through helped build my character. People who don't have to go through it may be eons ahead, or they may not even appreciate what they have because they didn't have to struggle through it. I don't know. If there's anything that I could do to encourage you, though, is accept yourself where you are without judgment and give yourself grace. And then if there are things that you want to work on or you feel need work, figure out how to do that. And I know, especially in the Black community, therapy is kind of taboo. Medication is kind of taboo, like me taking the Zoloft, but that helps me with my dysregulation. It's one of the things that my brother kind of judged me on of like, you don't know what they're putting in that medication and then you're going to get stuck. You just need to figure it out. But it wasn't that easy for me to just figure it out. I think anytime someone says just do something, it's never that easy. Sorry, Nike. But yeah, like just adopt or, all of those things. It's never that cut and dry because if it were, why wouldn't we do it? Why wouldn't we just do that? Like this person is a genius and they've come up with something of like, oh my God. Sarcasm is also a way that I cope with things, and not that it's bad, but I can be sarcastic. There was somebody, I did a thing on TikTok of Sugar Bear finding his toes. Like I did the little piggies with him, and then I showed a picture of him later on like holding onto his toes like he was, hey there, Justice is moving the laptop of him trying to figure it out. And some lady got in there like she was scolding me, like, you should massage his feet. It helps with calmness and meditation. And so I just responded back, you know a lot of newborns that do meditation, do you? And she got offended and was like, my grandchildren, da 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 da. And I was like, I could have wrote back, like, are they newborns? Like, I mean, I believe in meditation, don't get me wrong, but for newborns, you missed the whole point of this post. This post is about him finding his toes, not about meditation. Um, I don't think there's any amount of rubbing that I can do where Sugar Bear is going to start meditating as a newborn, which, by the way, he's like almost not a newborn anymore, right? At 4 months, I think is when they're not a newborn. He's like 3.5. I can't, like, oh my God. It's so crazy. Anyway, yeah, so that was what I needed to tell you all. I just got loud. He did not startle. And it feels better now that I said it. Okay, now let's go into these comments and see what is happening here. If you're just joining, welcome. If you're on the replay crew, we welcome you. Just drop a blue heart in the chat if you're on the replay crew, and also turn on the chat icon, because I do a live replay, chat replay, so you can see what the conversation was, because I don't put everything up on the board if you join it later. I don't want anybody to feel cheated, because I know you like to make the lives when you can, but sometimes you can't. Okay. Rhonda S. Oliver, retrieval was early this morning. Yay, got 10. Just resting now and glad you're hopping on this afternoon. Oh my God, I'm so happy for you. Congratulations. You probably will sleep like a baby tonight. I know that was a huge relief. Praying that all 10 fertilize, and then we see where we go from there. MK Bryce, hi, so glad I'm catching this. I just discovered you a few days ago and I've been binging all. Well, welcome, BK. Thank you. Welcome to the fam. I feel like we're so much alike. LOL 44 and having a transfer in October. Oh, good for you. I'm excited for October. Already done. Thank you for hitting the like button, Lonnie. I appreciate you. Hey, love. How are you? The Missy C60, welcome. Hola, Alexandra. Hola, ¿cómo estás? At 39, sometimes I wish I could have had children earlier due to diminished fertility. However, at this age, I am more healed. Yes, than earlier version of myself, and I'm still healing and doing the work. Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely feel that way. And so, like, it's that if I was feeling some type of way when the girl was like, you're selfish, or the young woman was like, you're selfish. I'm like, I'm such a better version of myself right now. He's getting the best mom possible from me, irrespective of my age. Probably be due to my age. So I don't feel like it was selfish. And also, how is it selfish to give someone life? Like, the other option is that he not be here, right? Because he's here because of me, just like Cheyenne is here because of me, not meaning it in some sort of like, I'm the one who made her. But I remember being pregnant with Cheyenne, and there were family members who were encouraging me to have an abortion. And, you know, you can have children later, but I wouldn't have had that child later, right? And so if I didn't, even if his soul came back in another body, like, this form of him would not be here if it were not for me. I don't feel it selfish. I don't think, like, no matter when I die or when he dies, that he'll ever regret having been alive. I don't think that's selfish. Okay. This is all on my mind because I'm reading how to talk so little kids will listen. Oh, I love that. Somebody mentioned that yesterday, or I saw it in a video. I definitely want to get that book. But yeah, it definitely, like, you want to have an impact on your child. Like, you don't want to just be talking and things go literally in one ear and out the other, right? Or not literally, I'm using it like the Kardashians, but you know what I mean. You want to have an impact on them, and you want it to be, I do, and I want it to be a partnership where we're learning and growing together. I never want to just be telling him to do things. I realized I did that a lot with Cheyenne, and so she would question it, and because of the way I was taught, I would not allow her to question me. Like, who the F am I? You know what I mean? Like, I should have been able to have that dialogue with her. So I very much want to do that with him. Also, I just didn't have as much patience. And, you know, my expectation was that she keep in step with me. Like, how arrogant, you know, like, instead of us finding a balance of being in tune with each other. Apparently I do a whole lot of anxious nagging and giving unsolicited advice. Self-awareness. A lot of people do nagging and it comes from a good place. I realized on this journey because it used to annoy the hell out of me, like no shade. But sometimes people do that out of love. Like there was someone I had to block on Instagram because I was like, everything you send to me in my DMs is negative. And she's like, oh, I'm trying to be helpful. I don't know that being negative, like she would see me drinking seltzer water and then DM me of like how horrible seltzer water was. Like I'm sure she meant well. She thought she meant well. Um, it's in how we say it, right? And also the unsolicited advice can be challenging. If someone is not struggling for an answer, there's no need for us to jump in. Yeah. Someone in the comments, and two of you guys responded, had asked, what did the pediatrician say about his grunting? I just responded, it's not a concern for me because that was sufficient for me. I thought like, oh, maybe today, maybe I should go back and ask for more and like engage with that person. But two of y'all went in and was like, the grunting is actually a form of communication. One of you guys shared, and I can't remember your name, but you have the twins, Nova and Phoenix, and you were saying that Phoenix has been nonverbal since birth and that the grunting is a form of communication, which is like the perfect answer. It is. At this age, it's I think it's called like call and response. And so you want to talk and then give the child a moment to speak. Like you pause and let them say something. So a lot of his grunting at first was like he knows he wants to say something. He knows he wants to vocalize, right? But he's not sure how. So the grunting comes from that. Like he's struggling to like get it out. That's his form of chatter right now. But it's important to give them that call and response time so that they are aware that it's their turn and that I want to listen, right? That it's his turn and I want to listen to what he has to say. Like I want to listen to what he's communicating. And so, yeah, the grunting is a part of that. He's because he's so young, he's still a newborn, he's grunting. It will turn into babbling. Um, yeah, I knew what you meant. I knew what you meant, Alexandra. There are tons of examples of what not to say to kids, and a lot of them just sound normal. My mom said some crazy things to me. Yeah, sometimes, and like parents out of frustration, I'm not making excuses. I'm just trying to understand where they're coming from because I'm trying to meet them where they are, where they were technically. But like, yeah, sometimes parents say crazy things. And sometimes they say things that like make absolutely no sense. I'm trying to think of one of like, I know one that was, it's a story all by itself. My mom wanted us, my brother and I, to clean the walls because apparently we put our hands on the walls, and for her that was a way to teach us not to put our hands on the walls. So we were like rubbing, and then she was telling us we weren't doing a good job. We needed to put some elbow grease into it. And I feel like we were in a hallway. I don't remember exactly, but we were closed off from where she was. I'm the oldest, so I'm trying to figure out what elbow grease is. So I remember going to get some Blue Magic hair grease. If you know, you know. Putting it on both of our elbows, and then rubbing it, and then that hurt. So I put it on the sponge or the rag. I think it was a rag. Put it on the rag, the Blue Magic, and we used it with our elbows because to me that was what elbow grease was, right? Like, it's almost like being autistic. Like kids take you very literally for a long time. They don't have that sense of oh my god, what is the word? Parody or hyperbole. What? Like they literally think you're saying what you're saying. Or like, oh my god, I could kill you. Kids don't know that you don't really mean you're going to kill them. You know what I mean? And that's just like small like examples of it. There, of course, the more trauma that you've lived with, the more dramatic the things that your parents have said to you. Totally feel you on the swaddle seems so restraining in a good way. Yes. He has a really strong startle reflex. I think it's called a Mora reflex, but it's when they startle. I think it passes at 4 months. So, but I'm doing the sleep training now because I feel like if I wait till 4 months, it's just too late. The pediatrician encouraged it in 2 months. I kind of try to do it, but she said if they cry for more than 5 minutes, like go and get them. So done. And I'm starting with sign language with him. So I've only been doing change the diaper, which I think will help with potty training. Because if he can sign change for his diaper before he actually can speak, I get a leg up on potty training. It'll make that easier. So I'm starting with that. But I also feel like some of the frustration of small children, infants, toddlers is that they're not being understood. So I feel like the sign language helps at least to some extent with communication of like we are saying the same thing, we are understanding the same thing of like change or hi or more or whatever those things are. So I feel like that's important. But yeah, the mainly because when he goes off to school or when someone comes in for him, he's going to need to figure out how to sleep on his own. And right now, what happens is he gets really frustrated when he's sleepy. And so I'll hold him and rock him. I'll hold him close to the breast because that's comforting for him, even if he's not nursing. Like, if these are not his pillows, I don't know what they are. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I totally. But it feels like a little straight jackety. You're like tied down. Um, Tell CU about the swaddle. Seems so restraining and not in a good way. And not in a good way. Yeah. Hi Lisa. I have had tell me that God took my children from me because we aren't legally married. So I understand what you mean by unsolicited advice in our comments. Like, if you don't have anything nice to say, yeah, sometimes it's okay to say nothing. I truly believe sometimes people say something because they don't know what else to say. Like, when someone passes, when someone dies, they'll be like, oh, they're in a better place. Like, according to who? Like, just be quiet. You know what I mean? Like, when my brother was murdered at 25, I didn't agree that he was in a better place. Or they'll say things like, oh, it gets better in time. I do not agree with that. That has not been my experience. Maybe that has been someone else's experience, but you don't know what people are going to experience. So I feel like be careful of what you say, right? For me, what has been true is I've learned to manage my emotions about his death better over time. He was murdered in 2001. So I've learned to manage my emotions better about his murder in 2023 versus 2001, if that makes sense. It didn't get easier. None of that is easier. He's gone. He's been robbed of his life. His children have been robbed of their father. So, um, anyway, my little rant. People get really weird about what they think they're entitled to. They sure do, Mina. um, Sarah is agreeing. That person had some mental issues and borderline controlling. We got to eliminate toxic people out of our life, no matter who they are. Yeah, definitely the one who invited himself to my apartment and then got mad. Um, Not only got mad, but then had a bunch of crazy stuff to say about me. Like, dude, I just said no. Like, no. I said no because I did not want you here. Period. Um, where do people find the audacity? Yes. Everybody's nodding along. I love that saying. I have my own childhood issues, trauma, and it really does impact us as adults. Every aspect of our lives and how we deal with people. Got to break the cycle. Yes. I'm going to even go a step further, Lisa. It's not, yes, we're breaking the cycle. We're also breaking generational curses, right? We're also breaking generational curses. Like, one of the curses that ran in my family, and I mean my whole family, not just like my mom, my immediate household, but like aunts, uncles, everything, is letting babies cry because otherwise you're going to spoil them. You spoil fruit, you don't spoil infants. And so part of that is if you hold them now, it will help them regulate themselves better because they know when they need you, they can count on you. And as they get older, they won't need you. It's the opposite of what people think. Whereas, like, I don't know where it happened in my life, but it was very much like the adults perceived that I cried too much, that I was needy too much. And so they would push me off on my own. What does that do? That makes me more needy, more likely to want to please people, more likely to not want people to go away, coupled with my abandonment issues. Very dangerous for me. Very dangerous for me. Ended up in a lot of abusive adult relationships, both intimate and non-intimate partners, right? So it was that was rough. So I'm not going to do that with him. If he's crying, it's because that's the way he communicates and he needs something from me. It's my job to figure it out, not to leave him to sort it out on his own. Like, I've got way more experience than he does. So what his little brain is trying to sort out, God only knows. I need him to know that I'm here for him and helping him figure out what's wrong. That I'm here to guide him. I really feel like I'm meant to shepherd his soul, earth side. I can't do things touched by feet either. I would have been a little scornful. Fair enough. Oh my God. My feet were clean though. I've been in the house and yeah, I just remember the look on her face. I'm like, oh yeah, that's not. Trust me, it helped me with that C-section. If I had not been able to pick up things with my feet, I would have been in a world of hurt. Yeah, but fair enough, Shar. How are you doing? Babies love to be swaddled. He will fight it because he's used to holding him. He's used to you holding him all the time. He'll adjust. Yeah, he's been getting to. It was really my own like sort of head trip, and that's why I was like, why am I resisting this? This is something about me and not about him. So we're gonna try it. Um, and he's knocked out right now. He's knocked out. And he did it yesterday and went to sleep. And when I laid him down, he didn't have that, and he stayed asleep. So he's definitely enjoying it. It was totally my own head thing. Um, the nerve, yes. Short was cute. It's not selfish. Age is a number again. Controlling people. Age doesn't determine our lifespan. Really, yes. As we age, death is more likely. People live to be 100, also die in their teens and 20s. Very much so. Very much so. Um, Thank you for the short. I'm trying to do more of them. Those get more views. I like it's interesting. It's two different viewers though who are in the fertility fam because some of y'all like the long videos, like hour, some like the 20-minute videos, and then I'm finding people love the shorts. I just don't know if there are people in the fertility fam who are watching them or if it's also, which is fine if more people are watching them, but the shorts are interesting and it's like it's easier to do with the baby. I'll say that it's like a nice concise way to like have a conversation with y'all. My mom passed away at 43. I was 22. I miss her dearly, but she also died from a blood clot. Oh my God, after surgery, not illness. So that could have happened at any age. Right. I'm so sorry for your loss, Lisa. That is rough. But I also think because my mom's mother died when my mom was 14, like she raised us with that of like her idea of us being independent, and now I'm independent to a fault. But because she was like, tomorrow is promised to no one. And so you don't know if I'm going to be here or not tomorrow, because that's what she experienced. She was orphaned at 14. So yeah, she would always be like, again, another thing that children take literally. I could walk out tomorrow and get hit by a bus. So you got to figure it out. And so we did. Friendships can grow and change, and sometimes you can grow out of people too. Yes, that's true. That is true. Just because you have pursued different interests, it doesn't mean that person is bad or that you're rejecting them, or if you're the friend that gets left that they're rejecting you. You've just like grown apart, as cliche as that sounds. If you think about it, it does make sense. And I also like I had to have this talk with y'all because I was like, it can sound cliche about find something positive in the wait or find purpose in the wait, right? And so I did find purpose in my wait for my child. So I would just encourage you, if you're still in the wait, to find purpose in that and figure out what are the things that you could be learning, because it is easy to wallow in self-pity and why me. And I will never forget, like when my sister got sick with her kidney disease, she would say, this is as she retold it to me, that she in her head was thinking, why me? And she had gone to church, and some lady, like she hadn't said it out loud, again, it was in her head, some lady turned around and was like, why not you? Why not you? You know what I mean? Like we're not free from difficult times. We're not above difficult times. I think we become better people through difficult times. It is, you know what they say about like fair weather friends. It's easier for people to be your friend when everything is going great, but let something go wrong and they all disappear. And even that is like, if something only goes wrong once in a while. I've had people that I had to let go of because I met them in trauma, like true trauma bonding, but then I overcame and went through and they were still in that. And so I have to let these people go because I can't hear about them wallowing in all this trauma and not actively doing anything to get better. Not actively doing anything to get out of it. Like therapy is so easy these days, like easy as in accessibility, not easy to go through by any means. Everybody who goes through therapy, you do have to have courage, and I commend anyone who has pursued it. But as far as like, you could do it from your home. Like I had therapy, I'll have it again this coming week, but I had it the week before because I'm doing every other week right from my living room. I go to group therapy right from my living room. So there are, as far as like, you don't have to go out and about. And the thing with like the group therapy is the lady who leads it. Oh, I'm trying to push this back without spilling coffee. Hang on. The woman who leads it lets people have their cameras off, so you don't even have to show your face, like literally. But you can talk about whatever you want to talk about. So there, sometimes we just outgrow people. It just is what it is. It's not a judgment on them. It's not a judgment on you. You just don't have the same interest anymore. Um, Although you desire to parent again, God already decided for him to be here, right? He is a part of God's design. We are the vessels which bring forth life. Yes, totally, totally. Um, the moment a friend starts acting entitled in any way, I seriously rethink my future with them. There are some things I really can't tolerate. I totally relate to that, and I'm learning to that. I'm not gonna say I'm good at like the moment, because again, the people pleaser in me is still being reformed. But I'm hip to it pretty quick now, versus before where I would tolerate it a little more. Are you awake now, man? Hey there, hey there. Yeah. But that the entitlement, you don't owe anybody anything. And if that person is really your friend, they will understand if you say no. First of all, they should respect that you say no, right? Real friends respect boundaries. And when you feel good about yourself, you're okay with setting boundaries. When I was in people pleasing mode, it was very hard for me to set boundaries because, again, what if that person runs away? But then people use you because they know that about you, right? That you don't want them to leave you. So they'll do anything and everything and run all over you. So the entitlement is real. Yeah. And that is a thing too, like without divulging too much, but I'll just say there's a person in Cheyenne's life who invited themselves over after I had the baby and was like, "Oh, I'm bringing flowers and blah, blah." And I said, because the message was coming through Cheyenne, please tell that person thank you, but no thank you. Again, inviting themselves to my house. But then had the nerve to be butthurt about it because I said no, they couldn't come. So were you coming to bring me the flowers because it was about me or because it was about you? Because I'm saying thank you, but no thank you, right? Like for you to be here, is just infringing in my space. This is my space. These are my boundaries. And so that got convoluted too, because again, Cheyenne and I are still mending our relationship. And I think because that person was offended, then she was kind of on the fence about being offended on their behalf. But no means no. Like you can come at another time. First of all, I don't really even know you like that to come over and be meeting my baby and to be in my space. But also, like I don't even have to go into all the excuses of why, right? I just didn't want them here, period. And that person was offended by it. And so then I have to question that person's motives. Like you were coming to bring me flowers and meet the baby for you. It wasn't for me, because if it was truly for me, you wouldn't be offended that I said no, thank you. So that caused a little bit, there are, I don't know. Oh, I was going to bring this and I was going to, but then it's all about you. Like if it's really about that person that you're helping, I don't think it's offensive to say no. I think it's good to have boundaries. When we don't have boundaries, people walk all over us. So yeah, the friend was acting controlling like an abusive boyfriend. Totally. Totally. And I think because that friend was like, "Oh, you didn't call me back in this amount of time." That's a good point. It is very much like an abusive boyfriend. It's abusive, period. But then, like, what is the rush? What we are talking about can happen tomorrow. It can happen 2 weeks from now. It can happen when both of us are ready for it to happen. But for you to insist that I have to get off the phone with my mom, or even if I'm not on the phone with my mom, if I don't feel like talking about it right now, for you to insist that I need to call you right now, about something that happened a good 6 months ago, it's silly. It just is silly. And then because I said I would talk to you later, and for you, later meant 11 o'clock the next day, and I hadn't talked to you by 11 o'clock the next day, so you sent me a bunch of nasty text messages like, oh my God, like, clearly we are not meant to be friends. You're attacking me. You don't know what I have going on, because like I said, I had the IUI that day. You don't know what I have going on. You're attacking me because now you want me to respond, but you want me to respond in anger because you're talking to me in anger, right? You're looking for conflict at that point. So it's very much abusive. Sarah is thanking Lisa. My chronicles of life. Hello. We're talking about a little chronicle in my life today. I grew up in a hard household, strict rules, lots of domestic violence, yelling, screaming, name calling. That's why I have so much fear and anxiety now, and poor relationships with men. Yeah, it's something that we definitely have to all work on. And again, abuse even domestic violence can be without touching. It also can be with words. Because I have friends. There's a whole thing on YouTube. If you guys, I'm pointing that way because my TV is that way, but clearly you're on YouTube now, so you know YouTube. Um, of children being estranged from their parents, and there's one on TikTok too. Like I think if you search no contact, you'll see a lot of the children who've gone no contact. Some have gone no contact with their parents. Some have gone no contact with their entire family. Um, but because your child says they felt abused and you never touched them, doesn't mean you didn't abuse them. Do you know? And so I think you got to get out of your own way, or your kids will go non-contact, or your parent will go non-contact. Sorry, there's somebody in the hallway. Terriers are terroring. They should be terrors instead of terriers, but yeah, they're terroring. They're protecting the homestead in the middle of Manhattan. Anyway, I totally relate to that, Lisa. And it was not only, again, my immediate household, it was the entire family. Like, I have an uncle, love him to death. We get along great now, but he used to always thump us on the forehead. That hurt like hell. He thought it was funny. He thought it was funny. I have another uncle who always wanted to hug me. I remember when I got boobs, I did not want to be hugged. Like, he would be squeezing me so hard. It was just uncomfortable. And there was a while, like, your boobs like develop before they get big. Like, they start, well, at least for me, they were sensitive, even though I had what my mom called nubs. And I wanted a bra because I wanted to protect the nubs from rubbing against my shirt. And like, for a long time, I couldn't get a bra because she was like, you don't have any boobs. Probably, I think she was in denial about my like maturation, but whatever. So my uncle would hug me. So then finally I was like, first I would say, you're hugging me too tight. And he'd be like, oh, there's no such thing. And he would hug me tighter. And then I just was saying, like, don't hug me. Like, because I was uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Like, don't you, and that's the thing. And he got offended. But if we teach our children, if we teach humans that our body is ours, our personal space is ours, we have a right to say, no, I don't want you in my space. I don't want you touching my body. Like, we have that right. And it can be dangerous if we don't give that right, if we don't explain that right to our children, right? That is where like molestation and abuse, and I'm not victim blaming, but I'm saying it's harder for that person to find their voice in that. Because sometimes people don't tell because they're ashamed, or like they think the parent is going to get mad at them, or even their abuser. Oh my God, I've gone off on a tangent. I'm gonna bring it back. But even their abuser uses that against you, of like, I'm gonna tell your mom, like, as if you did something wrong. Or the men are like, I watched some of these court shows too. One person was like, his 5-year-old daughter was taunting him. She was sitting on the bed with her legs open. Like, he's literally blaming her for his inappropriateness, and he's telling it to the judge. Like, he believes it wholeheartedly. 10 toes deep. It's not a thing. So yeah, it is. And sometimes we never see that. So kudos to you, Lisa, for like recognizing it, because sometimes people never see it and they just keep repeating it, and they don't break that cycle. They don't break that generational curse. And so I'm glad that you're recognizing it and working on it. MK Bryce, I'm gonna put both of these together. You lost four or five of your closest friends, literally a 30-year friend, during my wedding planning. Yeah. I'm sorry. Oh, that's the worst. Yeah, because sometimes my house is so cluttered, just like my mind. Oh, same here. Yeah, sometimes we don't know that our quote unquote friends are harboring all this hatred toward us, but do something they don't like and they are quick to release. Like, you've been holding that in, sis. That ain't all from just right now. You've been holding that in. So they really weren't your friend. There's some jealousy, there's some hatred, there's some, well, why did you do this? And remember when you do that? And girl, get it off your chest in real time. Like, you don't get to tell me 5 years later I made you mad when I got a blue Slurpee and it ended up being the last of the blue Slurpees and you wanted a Slurpee. Like, you've been holding on to that? For real? Anyway, so Sarah saying, same at Lisa. My dad was mentally and physically abusive to my mother when I was little, and I always got into relationships with men like my father. He was a functioning alcoholic. Oh, mine too, Sarah. Mine was a functioning alcoholic. I'm going to say I dabbled with alcoholism. I'm going to rebuke it. My brother, who died last year, died of alcoholism. I think he was just turned 50. He might have just turned 49. I can't remember. But anyway, there were really dark times I had with alcohol. There are times that I don't even remember stuff. Like poor LOP Cheyenne came. I was so blitzed out of my mind. I was sad. And so I drank. I don't even remember everything. Like I remember meeting her and her husband downstairs. I remember they came outside. I didn't remember that I took them out on the terrace because later she was like, oh, the view was so beautiful. But like, my dad only really expressed himself when he was drunk. And so, of course, he's not expressing himself properly. And back in the day, like for real, dad did cocaine, like the snorty kind, and liquor when I was very little. And then when I was in high school, he ended up addicted to crack. Like I went away to Illinois. I came back. My dad maybe weighed 98 pounds, pants swinging off his ass. And I remember he had on this MCM. To this day, I cannot stand that brand. He had on this MCM belt. It was so tight to hold up his pants because his pants were so big. And he had an MCM hat on. And it was like the cream colored MCM. And then he had on some white snakeskin cowboy boots. You couldn't have told him he wasn't shitty sharp. It was like looking at a ghost. But yeah, so the substance abuse was definitely learned. And so as a result of like that being modeled for me, I would suppress my feelings until I had some alcohol in me. So now I'm better. Again, a part of this journey, like I had to stop with the alcohol. Like I'm not saying I don't drink anything ever, but it's few and far between, and it's really like for pleasure. It's not for therapy. I was using alcohol as therapy. And so, you know, I mommies need their little wine time. I get it. I mean, I was like drunk, abusing alcohol, hard alcohol, bourbon, vodka. It was bad. And so I'm not ashamed to say that now. Like that was a way of coping. There were times that I even abused wine. I'm not gonna say you can't abuse wine either. There were times where I even abused wine because I was having a hard time um regulating myself, which is why I'm okay with the Zoloft, right? Because otherwise I'm going to medicate myself in some other way, in some other unhealthy way. So yeah, um, yeah, my dad was like a mean drunk. Like, you didn't know what was on his mind until he was drinking. Um, and for me, when I was drinking like crazy, I was a highly functioning alcoholic. Like I didn't miss work. I didn't mess up things. You know what I mean? Like, but I was not in my right mind. Black people don't believe in therapy. I'm behind on these because I paused them, but this was at 153. Black people don't believe in therapy, medications for mental health and stuff, but it's a toxic mentality that holds people back from growth. Really sad. Yeah, and I do feel like because of that, there are generational curses that haven't been broken. I mean, there are some things like the abandonment of the Black family, like that's strong, and a part of it has now been built in our DNA. If you were born in America, right? I can't say if you were born in Africa because I wasn't, but like they're from our ancestors being enslaved, they ripped families apart, right? They would have marriages, they would allow, oh my god, I hate to say it, but that is what the slaveholders would allow the enslaved to have marriages solely for reproductive purposes, right? So they were forced to have children, and then their children were taken away from them because they were sold, or the father was taken away to stud other females that he wasn't married to because I mean, they were treated like animals, let's be honest, right? So if there's like a big, strong Black man, they're going to stud him out to all these women because in the slave holder's mind, um, he's going to produce these strong children that will be good for working the land. So some of that is now in our genetics that we have to overcome because it happened over and over and over again. Um, we have to acknowledge it and move past it. And I don't know how you do that without therapy. I'm not saying you can't. I'm saying for me, I don't know how one would do that without therapy because we have to talk through these things. Why is this happening? We have to be okay to ask why. So yeah, I'm very sarcastic, and most people don't get it. My best friend and I cope. Me too. Sarcasm is my jam. True. The universe knows best. Yes. Hey, Sylvia on the go. Wake me up before you go. Aren't babies kind of meditating all the time? I think so, right? I don't think they're like actively meditating. I do believe they're in a meditative state. I just thought it was a really weird comment on TikTok when the lady was like scolding me when I did this little piggy because I didn't massage his feet. Like, lady, have you never heard of these little piggies before? um and those things help also with language development, right? Because you're repeating the words over and over, and so we learn through repetition. But she was like scolding me. I'm sure she thought she was coming from a good place, but yeah. Kids do take you very literal, yes. And then with like autistic children, they continue to do that. Most children, as they age, will begin to understand hyperbole, but like autistic children won't, so they will keep taking you literally, so you have to be really careful. um Sylvia on the go. That's how I felt with my deceased husband. He had been dead 3 years ago almost. I know how to handle my emotions and deal with it. Yeah, it doesn't get easier, for sure. Most definitely break generational curses. Must definitely break generational curses. Amen. I think generational curses is a lot of the mess we see today with people week after week. Yes, I would agree. And I think that's why like people like the drama on YouTube too, right? Like there's one, I'm all in a business. I'm not gonna say I'm above the drama, but the I think I told you guys in the other live, the wife who has possibly pregnant by someone else had her husband put out of his own place. It's drama. They are both struggling with generational curses. I can see it as plain as day. I'm not judging them, but I can see it. Whereas before I couldn't. I had so many abusive relationships, like romantic relationships. It was very crazy. Where I was clearly being manipulated, but it was the people pleasing, it was the fear of abandonment, but I was clearly being manipulated. There was this one guy, I won't say his name, but who I was dating. My mother could not stand him. I was in LA, and he was very controlling. He wanted to know where I was at all times, right? But he was under the guise of being worried about me or concerned or protecting me. Part of it was because sis, he wanted to know where I was, so he knew if I was in his way or not. Because I went one day, I went shopping, I brought some dish towels, and he had just moved into his place. So I was like, "Oh, I'll get him some dish towels." I came over. Why was there another woman sitting up in there, child? That's why he wanted to know where I was. Um, so call before you go. Anyway, I had gone to Fresno. I was living in LA. Like I said, I had gone to Fresno, and he had asked me for my mother's phone number. And this was before you had like unlimited minutes on, what do you call it? Telephone calls. This was like 99, 2000. And so I gave him my mother's phone number. He called my mom like 22 times before I got to Fresno. It's like a 3-hour drive, depending on how fast you go. And he was like, "Oh, I need to talk to Tanika. It's an emergency." And my mom, with her sassy self, was like, "Then you need to hang up and call 911 because I don't process emergencies at my house. Any emergency you and Tanika have going on, I cannot help you with." Bless her heart. That woman knows her boundaries. Trust and believe. But yeah, it was abusive, right? And so there was a lot of abusive relationships. Yeah, I've been sexually abused in relationships because I was not of the mind that you could say no. Like you had to give consent. Some Donald Trump stuff, right? He said he could never have raped his first wife because it was his wife. Well, clearly she can consent. She should be consenting. So yeah, there were times where someone has had sex with me against my consent in the guise of a relationship. Oh, nice. Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate you. My mom would always say, "You are skating on thin ice," which meant I'd better watch out. "You are cruising for a bruising." Oh yeah, that one was one too. Thank you. I was like having a mental block on some of them. Was another fave. Hey, at least she gave me a warning. That's true. I don't like to live in the land of at least though. When I was a child, I used to say that so much, at least, at least. And then it was in some therapy session where it was like, at least is the lowest common denominator. And it can be dangerous. But yeah, she did give you a warning. Of all the bad that was happening, that was the silver lining. She didn't actually hit me though. She was just a colorful character. Her thing was embarrassing me in public. Oh, that's the worst. Oh my God. That is reminding me of Ruby Frankie, the embarrassing in public. She did it on a whole nother level of 2 million viewers, embarrassing your son and daughters on the internet. her son specifically, because there was one of them where she took his room away. Well, I guess he kind of outed himself, but whatever. Still, embarrassing your children on the internet is like, the internet is forever, sis. That's why she's in jail. Some people are just weird, aggressive. I'm an introvert, so I'm not comfortable with the random people in my personal space. I really need to know you. Just don't come over my house. Oh my God. So I'm an introvert too, Lisa, and I totally feel that way. Like, I'm a gregarious introvert, so people sometimes don't believe me, but like they don't really understand introversion is about where you get your source of energy from. I get mine by going internally versus extroverts get their energy by going out. So they like to have a lot of people around. They like to just have a lot of conversations. I can get overwhelmed by that. I can do it for a little while, but then I definitely have to like go home and recharge. And they always like extroverts. I feel like they always need to be saying something, even if it's okay to be silent. Some people are uncomfortable in silence. If you've ever noticed that, um, it was a tactic one of my managers used to make other people uncomfortable. Is he would just go silent. It's a tactics police use. If you ever do an interrogation, the people who are uncomfortable in silence will just like start thought vomiting, and the police will just be there silent, and they'll get you to confess to something you had no business confessing to that you may not have even done. So yeah, silence can be very powerful. I enjoy silence, so I definitely am, and I'm also into very much into people's energy, into their vibe. So if like I've only met you once and I haven't, like I said, I met that guy one time and I was kind of like iffy about it, like about should I pursue engaging with him. And so I wasn't sure that I wanted him at my house. So I just said no, right? I only met you one time. And he got offended. So that was, this man could have came in here and attacked me, right? If I would have told him no, like he's trying to kiss me, I say no. He's not good with no for an answer, clearly. And who knows where it could have gone. So I think as I've gotten older, I very much understand like protecting your space, protecting your peace. Everybody ain't meant to be in your space. Everybody ain't meant to be in your presence, right? Your presence is a present. Everybody ain't meant to enjoy that present. Not in a like arrogant way, but just facts, like for real, for real. So nobody but my mother, my mom, and my boyfriend know where I live. I don't do pop ups. We have a Ring doorbell, and if you pop up unannounced, you will be asked to leave my door. I know that's right. I got to get a doorbell. There's this channel on there of like on YouTube about people showing up to doors doing crazy things when you are not home. So yeah, that reminds me too, Sarah. My mom was good for back in the day before there was Ring doorbells, before there was anything. There was just a telephone. If you didn't call her and let her know you were coming, she's not answering the door. She is not hiding in her house. Like they'll be like, "Oh, I see you moving around." Yep, because she's at home. She's just not answering the door because you were not invited. So, yeah, it was hilarious. But I should have learned then. Lisa has a ring. I got to get one. I was just looking at one. Like, I don't know if I'm going to get a ring or not because I have the Google Home. I want to get something compatible with the Google Home. If anybody knows, it doesn't necessarily have to be a Google product, just that it's compatible. You know how like a lot of stuff is compatible with Alexa, but it's not necessarily like an Amazon product. If you guys know of a good one, let me know. I have the one camera in here, but it's for the dogs. And I wish that it was connected to the Google Home. It's not. It was like a $24 camera because I just needed to spend, when I first started leaving them home alone, I needed to be able to talk to them. So that's why I got that camera and see them, make sure they weren't going crazy in my house. Okay. Oh wait, somebody had an uncle who thumped them. I had an uncle thump our forehead. That's not about what's that about, and hugging from men made me uncomfortable. Also, I was so standoffish. I'm an introvert. Yes, that's how abuse starts. And yes, because they're making you do it. Or even I see this now and I cringe about it. Like if a child, like a toddler, is meeting a grandmother or aunt or uncle, like I see it in the train stations or in the airport, and they'll be like, "Oh, can I have a kiss?" And the little kid says no, and the mom will be like, "Go give her a kiss. Go give Auntie a kiss." Like, consent, right? If that child does not want to kiss that person, what are you teaching them by forcing them to go over there and kiss that person? People don't think about like the long term of it. They're just like feeling embarrassed of like, "Oh, I'm so sorry they didn't kiss you." Like, it's not about y'all. It's about this child and what this child wants. Think about the child. Yeah, so it was, and so like making me hug that person, you're giving away my ability to consent to what's happening to my body. So if you as a parent or a parental figure, authority figure, are doing that, when I'm alone with this person and they're telling me to do it, how do I know not to, how do I know I can say no? Do you know what I mean? Like, um, thank you. Sick, a 5-year-old taunting a grown man, disgusting. As mothers, we gotta watch over our children, watch who we have children with. Just sick. Yeah. Oh my god, that man was like crazy. Luckily the judge sent him to prison. But she almost, because he had done a plea deal, she almost did not accept his plea deal because he was blaming it on the victim. That child is not. And sometimes they sexualize older children, right? They'll be like, oh, she was asking for it, or she was switching, or whatever she was doing, her body was not an invitation to you. Like, that's her body. It's her thing. Do what she want to do. It has nothing to do with you. So if you don't ask her and she consents and is the age of consent, which is another thing. So I was conceived when I was 17. My dad was 26. I mean, when I was 17. My God. My mom conceived me when she was 17. My dad was 26. She was not at the age of consent. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of stuff. But anyway, and I always wonder, like, was she looking for love at that point? I mean, knowing my mom now, I would say no, but I didn't know her as a 17-year-old, so I always wonder about that. So that, it just depends on like what your background is. You kind of internalize some of the stuff that you shouldn't, because really none of that is any of my business, right? Like if I look back at it, that ain't none of my business. I was grown folks doing one grown folk doing what grown folks do. Um, yeah, so there's a lot. There's a lot. It's complicated. Oh wait, you are so in my head. They all got together to discuss what they say I did 16 years ago. I was like, we are talking. What are we talking about here? Yes. So it's been a minute. They've been holding on to that for a minute and never said anything. Girl, if it happened more than 2 days ago, I don't want to hear about it. I really don't. Why didn't you tell me in the moment? You went home and got mad and got bad, and then held on to it for years. Bye. Char, I'm hanging in there dealing with some, oh no, but putting that stress down for the day. Cooking Sunday dinner. Hey, for the wife, Jamaican brown stewed chicken. Oh, that sounds good. Rice and peas and salad. Yay, yay. What we having for dessert? I'm on my way. I'm getting on the plane. No, I'm playing. Look at me. Invite myself after I'm talking about other people. Hopefully everything goes well with the health challenges. I'm glad that you are putting that stress down. Hey, Carlene. You're here. We're live right now. You didn't miss it. If everybody hits the thumbs up, we'll notify everybody that I'm live. So I can't see the thumbs up I'm in an app watching, but I see there's 66 people in here. So hopefully there's 66 thumbs up. And then more people can come and join us. I'm going to catch the rest of this later, forcing myself to run to the market now, or it will never happen. But all of this was actually helping me. Oh, I'm glad, Mina. I'm glad. I know you're probably not here now because I was at 225, but I'm glad you're going to the market, prioritizing yourself. And I'm glad I just felt like I had to say it. It was something I needed to tell y'all. Somebody needed to hear it. I'm finally cutting unhealthy people out of my life. Yes, I too was scared of abandonment, but I'm releasing that fear. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I was collecting people, like I was collecting things in my house, child. Like I felt like that made me a better person to have a larger collection of people. What's that song? I can do bad by myself. I'm doing good by myself. I'm doing great by myself. So sometimes you got to let people go. Made it to the live. Happy Sunday, Mrs. 5K or Mrs. K5. Look at my money is on my mind. Hello. I get overwhelmed with new people, big groups of people. I just started a new job, have so much anxiety about meeting new people, how they will be towards me, and I've always had anxiety. Girl, you are preaching to the choir. Yeah. I don't know when my anxiety started. I think it probably started as a youth. I didn't recognize it probably maybe after I moved to New York. I want to say I moved here in 2008. Somewhere around then I recognized the anxiety. But yeah, I do get overwhelmed, especially like I'm the worst. Like the company events, you'll do like they have the networking events, or when there's training, they have like a networking session. That also was probably why I drank a lot then too. Like it always had alcohol and appetizers. In order for me to talk with people, I had to drink. Like I had to just to be comfortable. But I'm not good in big crowds of new people. I don't know what we have in common. I don't know how much I want to share. I don't know how much I want to hear because sometimes people are just crazy. You get stuck in a corner at a cocktail hour with somebody saying craziness and it's like, oh my God, how do I get out? Now I would just be like, excuse me, and walk away. But back then I would, feel trapped and foolishness. But yeah, so I do get overwhelmed with a bunch of new people. Even people I've only met one or two times are new to me. Like I don't really know them, and so like I don't want to be alone with them, or even in a group with them. Like I don't know how to explain it. I am very much like an energy driven vibe person, and so I know instinctively, and I'm learning to trust that instinct. Like I was talking to the therapist about this, like we have this intuition, and I'm learning to like not second guess it anymore and just go with it. Like maybe later I'll try to search as to like what led me to that intuition, but I don't doubt it anymore. Like if I've got a feeling, I got a feeling, so I'm gonna go with it. The Blink, it's by the Blink, I was thinking about the book Blink. It's by Ring. It works with Alexa. And okay, I'm gonna check that out then. Thank you, Sarah. The Blink. Okay. Brown Eye Queen, we are talking about healing and feelings and friendships and trusting our intuition. Um, Seeing the tree from the forest. I read an article about child abuse. It's 90% uh, a known offender, and therapists said to teach children about inappropriate behavior from anyone, parent, sibling, uncle, family, friends, whoever. Totally, totally. Yeah, it's usually someone they know. It is, and it's scary, which is why I think it's so important to teach the babies, to teach from infant age about consent and about boundaries. I did not have that luxury, but I think, and Cheyenne had it partially. I'm not going to tell all her business, but I definitely there's an opportunity to do more, and I don't want to miss that opportunity with Sugar Bear. Um, Boundaries and the ability to say anybody making you feel bad about you saying no is a dangerous person, whether you're a child or an adult. And if they're doing it to me as an adult, imagine what they would have that same person would have done to me as a child. You know what I mean? You should have the right to say no even as a child, as far as what how it relates to your body, because then where do you draw the line? Are you telling the child you don't have a right to say no because I'm older than you? You don't have a right to say no because I'm stronger than you? You don't have a right to say no because I'm more powerful than you? Because no matter what age they are, there's always going to be someone more powerful, stronger, older, right? And so then how do they learn to differentiate? Like they've got to have the power, they've got to be empowered to have the right to say no, to have the right to consent to touching. I'm always telling Justice. I know she's a puppy, but she's always kissing me. I'm like, did I give consent for you to be up on my mouth, ma'am? But you know what I mean? It's so important. It's so important because that type of trauma is a whole different level of therapy. Once someone has touched you in a way that you shouldn't have been touched and that you did not consent to, that's a whole different type of trauma. And who knows where it ends? Then you could become a person who inflicts that type of trauma on people later. You could become someone who doesn't heal from it. You could be suicidal. There's so many repercussions from that. So it's just real simple. You have the right to say no. You never know how much trauma people are walking around with. Why do we have to deal with that and bottle it up? Yeah, this is very true. And I try to give people grace for the trauma that they may have, but I also look at it again. If they don't have on their life jacket and they're holding me in that river and I have on my life jacket, I got to let them go. I got to let them go. They will figure out when, if they want to save themselves and when. One of my favorite movies is The Wizard of Oz, because she always had the power to go home. And so that, and I'm learning each and every day more and more that I've always had the power. But that resonated with me even as a young child. And so, yeah, you've always had the power. Like the power is within you, right? And the sooner we realize that, the better. It's easier to blame people. Well, my mom should have done this. My dad should have done this. It's different to recognize that they did it to help heal yourselves, than saying what they should have done. Because again, they did the best that they could with the information they had at the time. So, yeah. Social anxiety. I developed it as an adult and it's getting worse. Oh, interesting. I have all kinds of anxiety, both social and otherwise. There are some times that I feel really comfortable in social settings, and there are other times where I don't want to talk to anybody. There are definitely events, and I recognize it really well when I was pregnant, because obviously I didn't have the option to drink, of like not wanting to talk to people without having had a drink in me. I had gone to a couple of trainings. Like I got recognized for my achievements, and so then I was nominated to go to certain trainings the last year, and there was one that I went to. It was probably like September or October. I was newly pregnant and I couldn't drink. But it was nice because people came over to talk to me, which was good. Like people in leadership, they saw me standing off and they would come over, which is kind of sad. But it is what it is. They did come over, but it was also reaffirming to me. I shouldn't judge myself. It's not sad. It was reaffirming because like people do want to talk to me because those things are just awkward. And sometimes I'm just like, I wish I had an invisible cape. But and I didn't stay long. I knew I wasn't going to stay long. One, because most of the food they had was not pregnancy friendly. Like they had lots of charcuterie boards and raw foods being passed around. Aside from that, so there was like sashimi and I'm trying to think of what else. There was a bunch of raw stuff. Undercooked eggs on top of stuff like fancy, cute. I'm a foodie. I would normally have eaten it. I just couldn't have any of it when I was pregnant. So yeah. I have Blink as well. It's under the Amazon brand. Dessert. Oh, pineapple upside down rum cake. Oh my God, stay all the time. That sounds good. Baby, I really wish I was invited and that I had a plane ticket. That sounds good. Oh my God, I haven't had pineapple upside down cake in a while. I watched something on TikTok. They made essentially like a peach cobbler upside down cake. It was like a bundt cake with the peach. I sent it to my sister. I was like, tell mom to make this and when I should buy my plane ticket because my mom is the baker in the family. But I might have to try it. But pineapple upside down. Oh, you got my mouth watering, sis. My social anxiety is worse at 44, but I need therapy. I know this prayer has been my method, but definitely need to add therapy. Yes, yeah. And prayer can be a form of therapy, but I think sometimes we also need like a voice talking back to us. I know some people are going to say God talks to me. I'm always like, did he text you, girl? Can you record it? Sarcasm. But yeah, it is. Sometimes you just need someone to talk through it and let you know that you're okay. Because sometimes we're in our head and we're like, am I the crazy one? There's a thread on Reddit. Am I the asshole? AITA. I like watching those because sometimes that is actually a good example of relationships and like examining functionality. But I think you have to have a level of self awareness to even ask the question: Am I the asshole? Am I the drama? Am I the whatever? But it does like some people are so entitled they don't even realize it or they just assume the world revolves around them or that you owe them something. Those are dangerous relationships too. You don't owe anybody anything. Or when people tell you they did something, this was a thing like at the beginning of my pregnancy on here, like I was getting more and more reclusive because people were giving unsolicited advice and then being offended when I didn't want it. And then they would tell me, we prayed for you, or I prayed for you. Why are you talking to us like this? Or why are you talking to me? And I'm like, I shouldn't owe you something because you prayed for me. Like, hopefully you prayed for me because you really wanted this for me, not so that I would be indebted to you. Um, my oldest brother, not the one who was murdered, but another brother went to prison and I didn't visit him as frequently as he thought I should have. He's still in there. He'll be in there for the rest of his life. And he would be like, after all the things I did for you, but did you do them because you love me or did you do them so I would be indebted to you? Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you have to, that just has to be. And I was feeling a little bit sorry for myself in the beginning of like, right before the baby got here because I needed so much help and nobody was like, when I would ask, they would say no. For me to ask for help is a huge thing, but it was like help around the house, like cleaning, organizing, things like that. And people said no. And at first I was kind of hurt, like, oh, how could they say no? Or do they not value me? I've helped them out, right? But I helped them because that's what I wanted to do, and they did not want to help me. So I can't be angry at them for that. They don't owe me help. I should not have helped them expecting things back from them. I should have helped from a genuine place of wanting to do that for the person that I cared about. And so if they were not willing, they had the right to say no, right? And there's no reason for me to be offended by that. So it was my mess, my clutter, the clutter in my brain was represented in my house. And my sister did come out and help me. Part of it, I think she pitied me because she was like, if I don't do it, who's going to help you? Like, you're literally alone. But thank God that she did. You know what I mean? God bless her. Yeah, I'm gonna get teary eyed again. It would thank God that she did. I'm just like, thank you, Erica, if you ever watch any of these. Because I was in like a dark place. I didn't go through that nesting period. But then I just read a thing that sometimes nesting, like when you're not pregnant, can be unhealthy. I didn't have the nesting thing when I was pregnant. I was just like barreling through, trying to get through work, which I probably was running from some things too. But anyway, I don't know how I got on that. I will go all off on type of tangents. If you guys watch Alex Manning, there's some freeway in Fulton County. Is it the 180, the 280, the 580? It'll go round and round. She said she'll like if you go off track, she'll be like, I need you to get on the connector and get off this freeway. Get on the connector. And she has a southern accent. I love her. Anyway, look, I need to get on the connector. The whole reason I broke up with my ex is because he didn't respect my boundaries. He would constantly ask me something rather than accepting the fact that I said no. Oh yeah. Good for you for recognizing that. One of my sisters, one of the twins, would always so I had a car when I was 16. I think of all of my siblings, I was the only one who had a car when I was 16. Mainly because my mom probably didn't want to drive me around. Like I had a schedule. I was in a lot of activities, I think like for her own sake. Of course, because I deserved it too, but I had to pay for the car insurance. How many times I paid for it? Don't ask. Sorry, mom. But my sister would call me, and this sister is one of the older sisters, and be like, "What are you doing today?" Like a Saturday. I'm like, "Oh, nothing. Watching TV, blah blah." And then she'd be like, "Oh, good. Can you take me to the grocery store?" And I would be like, "No." And she'd be like, "Well, why? You just said you weren't doing anything." Well, that don't mean I want to chauffeur you around, ma'am. And she had a kid. She had her son when she was still in high school, right? And so at this point, I might have been 17. Let me see. They were born in 68. How many years? I can't do all the math. She might have been like 19, 20, somewhere around there. But then she would try to guilt me. Like the only reason she's calling to see what I'm doing is because she wants to see where she can get in and fit in. Yeah, no. No is a whole sentence. No is a whole answer all by itself. I'm on Zoloft too. I was also hoping that once I became pregnant, I can keep it. It is my lifesaver for my anxiety. I was allowed to stay on it. I talked with my MFM. I think that's one of the things, like when you're interviewing practitioners, whether it's OBGYN or MFM is also OBGYN. It's a high risk OBGYN, like for real, if they believe in that, because if they believe in it, it's not a religion. But some, like my doctor was very much like, I want you to be okay. If you're not okay, baby is not okay. So continue it. And we even went up on my Zoloft when I was pregnant. We went up to 100 and I'm still on 100. So yeah, find a practitioner that will support that. The people at the hospital, like I didn't know I was supposed to disclose all of my medication, but something came out when I was delivering him where I've mentioned it a million times. I will do my story one day, where the pediatrician was coming at me and I was like, listen, we have to stop this conversation. I have an anxiety disorder and right now my blood pressure is through the roof. And the social worker was there. So then they came back like after it was the next day and things had de-escalated to ask me about the anxiety disorder, because I guess they had gone through my meds and they were like, is that why you're taking the Zoloft? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, have you been taking it while you're in the hospital? I was like, of course. And they were like, oh, you didn't disclose that. Well, nobody told me. Apparently you're supposed to disclose it and it's supposed to come from their pharmacy. Who knew? Nobody said that to me. Like my MFM knew I was on the Zoloft. You know what I mean? So anyway, while I was there, I guess some of them don't believe in the Zoloft again, it's kind of convoluted because I'm in the hospital, but my physician practices in that hospital. But I guess like everybody that is coming in to deal with me hasn't met my physician or hasn't intricately, it's not the right word, hasn't had this conversation with her. I don't know, but definitely find someone who has it, because even like my old GP was saying like she didn't recommend it because then the babies have withdrawals, and my MFM was like, you're still going to be on there. If you're nursing, they're still going to have it. It's like such a minimal amount that is crossing the uterine barrier that it's not significant enough. And one of my therapists, the nurse who prescribes my Zoloft, was like, oh, she's, like, because she had been a midwife. And she said, even from what she knew, you don't take it through that while you're pregnant or while you're breastfeeding. But it just really depends on the doctor and like what research they've done. But it had no effect on me so far as had no effect on Sugar Bear that I could tell. He's super calm. Maybe when he's no longer weaning, he won't be, but I think he just has a chill vibe. But yeah, definitely the Zoloft has helped me. I got pregnant at 15 and baby daddy is not a part of his vocabulary. My baby is 13 years now, but co-parenting with your abuser, oh my God, it's so hard. He doesn't respect her boundaries either. Yeah, that is rough. That is definitely rough. I've had horrible social anxiety after leaving my last relationship. He was a narcissist. Sorry. Cheated with over 20 women to include 2 he got pregnant. I've learned I love my home and my own peace of mind. Good for you, Shannon. I'm sorry that you went through that, but I'm glad that you found the rainbow on the other side. Like, what is that? I like that expression of growing through things. Some people go through things, but we have a choice to grow through things, and I'm glad that you made the choice to grow through it, and find peace and solace on the other side. So unfortunately, sometimes we got to go through bad to get, but the rainbow is real. I'm on a weight loss journey pre-pregnancy, but I needed Jamaican food for my mental health today. Happy to cook for you and Sugar Bear. Oh, love it, love it. Yeah, sometimes you just got to do what's right in the moment and not like follow all of these other things. And oh my God, weight loss journey is like a struggle all by itself. Are you guys? I'm leaning you right because now justice came to lay on the pillow that you guys are sitting on. Do you feel the warmth of justice? Do you want to feel she didn't get consent? That justice. I struggle with hearing "I'll pray for you" as anything but patronizing. But I know patronizing, but I know that's me and my trauma with the church. Yes, I was saying that at the top of it. I struggle with the church, like being a part of the LGBTQ community and have not being my parents not being married to each other when I was born. I feel like there's been a lot of judgment, and I think like some of the churches are more accepting, and it's more like the parishioners that are still carrying that on. But any church that teaches hate, I don't want a part of. Like, I believe in God, but I don't want to be a part of a hate or a judgy. And a lot of churchy people are into the patriarchy and supporting the patriarchy, which usually involves shaming other women so that they behave in the way that the patriarchy wants them to behave. So yeah, I pray for you is hard. And it was funny because there was this time I actually said that cringe to someone, or I think I said, bless you, something. I don't remember exactly. It might have been I pray for you. And she was like, no, thank you. And I was offended. I said it to someone else. And they were like, some people don't need your prayers or don't want your prayers or your blessings because everybody's blessings and prayers are not fruitful, right? They don't mean well. And so, yeah, that stung me a lot when I first was getting that. But then I was like, these people were never for me. If they prayed for my child and now I don't want their unsolicited advice and that's offensive, then I'm just gonna have to be offensive, you know? Tanya, I just happened to jump on YouTube and saw that you were live. Yay, girl. We over here talking about trauma and healing and all that fun stuff. I'm glad you made it. Oh no, I'm sure I'm so late, but greetings. Hello, how are you and the little baby doing? How's nursing going? I'm going to do a video, I think, about my nursing journey. I was going to say struggles, but I'm not going to claim that. There's ups and downs. I will say what I learned is, which I should have thought about it. Like nursing is different from child to child because the child is also learning about nursing as you're learning about nursing that specific child. I mean, there are some things that are constant, like engorgement and different things, right? But like the actual sucking and suckling and what that relationship is going to be is like specific per child. So I think I want to talk about that in general. And it's hard because I feel like a lot of women of color, some communities, they don't model breastfeeding, and so it's hard, or they're quick to quit. Like people will be like, oh, I wasn't making enough, and they'll stop. I'm not judging them, I'm just saying they'll stop before the period of time that it takes to establish your milk supply. So like the body is magical, really. It will learn to make the breast milk as needed, right? It's sort of a supply demand thing. And if not, you can pump to help build it up. Like I had to do that. Mainly because a lot of the time Sugar Bear was comfort sucking, so it wasn't like as voracious as it can be like when he's really hungry, so it wasn't building up the milk supply. So I'd started doing the power pumping. Now I'm not pumping. I still use the Haka, which is like passive pumping, but yeah, I'm gonna do a video anyway. If you guys don't know Tanya and Ant, if you don't know Tanya, she has a channel, Tanya and Ant, and she has also been on a TTC journey, but they do lots of fun stuff on her channel. It's more than just TTC. They do like games and challenges and cooking. Her husband can cook really well. Not that you can't, Tanya, but I've mostly seen him in there cooking. And her and your mother-in-law cooks. 285 in Atlanta is a big circle. Okay, maybe it's the 285. Something. Do you watch Alex Manning? 285, get on the connector. She was like, get on the connector. You were just going around and around. Yes, and busy. I hate getting on the 285. Okay, yeah. She always talks about that when people are, she was like, she'll ask them, a lot of people don't know when you go to court, answer the exact question. Don't go on and on. Just answer the questions being asked. If there's something else you want to say, more than likely they'll give you a chance. They'll ask, is there anything else you want to add? Or it ain't meant to be said. But she gets people in there going round and round, and she was like, you on the 285 going round and round. Get on the connector. I need you to get on the connector. I've never driven in Atlanta, but that tickles me every time she says it. IVF baby. Oh, 9 months. Congratulations, sunshine. Did you have a boy or a girl? Remind me. Like, oh my God, that's so cute. 9 months. So when this one turns 9 months, I'm gonna be working on number 2. I was watching. Can you guys hear the drums? I'm in Harlem. They've closed the street down and they're doing all the foolishness. When I came home from California, they didn't want to let me through to get to my front door because I live on the busy street. And they were looking, I'm like, excuse me. And they have an attitude to turn around. Then they see I got a baby and some luggage. And they'd be like, oh, okay. Like, I'm not trying to jockey for position to be closer to the street to see these people. I'm trying to get home. You guys are standing in front of my home. And there were people like literally in front, not of the door. So there's 2 doors to my, to the condo, right? And so there's one door that you come in to like come into your home. The other door is to take the trash out. It's like a frosted glass. The one to get home is a clear glass with a strip at the top, so you can't just be all in our building. But they had lawn chairs sitting out in front of the trash door. They don't take the trash out on Sunday, so it's not a big deal. But it's like recess, so they're actually like in the doorway of the condo with these lawn chairs and looking at me like I'm in their way. Self-awareness. Somebody lives here. They need to get in and out. And I just happen to be getting in and out with a stroller, a baby, and luggage all on wheels, and I'm trying to like maneuver it, so when they see that I have the baby and all this stuff, then they're like, oh, okay. But the attitude they're giving me as soon as I say excuse me is like, look, I need to get on the connector, here I go. I'm a postpartum nurse. Things show up in urine and people question controlled substances, but Black women are judged harshly for being on medication, especially controlled substances treated. I am sure that they do. It's funny because I think I mentioned it. I wasn't able to get my pain meds for 2 weeks after I got home, and I had been asking people to help me. I couldn't go because I couldn't lift the baby to get into a cab, right? It was over the weight limit to have the baby and the car seat lifted. And I remember asking Shamika, and she's a Black woman. But she was like, oh, I don't know if you need it now. I'm worried about you being addicted. And I'm like, girl, the doctor prescribed it to me. If they're not worried about it, she was coming from a good place. But I just thought it was funny. Or people would comment and say, oh, you're walking good. You're moving good. And like, meaning I couldn't be in pain because I was moving so well. Like, sometimes we got to let go of that strong Black woman persona, or like, projecting that strong Black woman on someone else. Just because I'm moving does not mean I'm in pain. Just because I'm not grimacing, you know how they have the grimace chart of like, where are you on the chart? I'm not grimacing, but I'm in pain. I'm like managing it, but it doesn't mean I'm not in pain. Would I like to not be in pain and have the medication? Hells to the yeah. So it is interesting, like how Black women are perceived. And also, so another thing, like for me, when I was young, I was very dramatic because if I just said I needed something, nobody really gave a damn, let's be honest. So I had to be like extra hype about it. Like it had to be, like instead of just having a cut on my arm, I had to be thinking like my arm was falling off. Somebody please check, in order to get people to pay attention. And so I feel like I don't do that anymore, but I feel like society, well, doctors specifically, expect that we have to be very dramatic in order to get attention because for whatever reason they think, oh, Black women can handle pain, or they diminish our pain. There are some doctors who still think our skin is thicker, like all these crazy things that have been debunked. And so it becomes challenging. Like there was even, because they had to watch me because of my kidney, my creatinine was really high. And so I had to give a sample. And at first they wanted to do like a catheter. And I was like, can we just try doing it in the toilet? Because I just had already had my catheter removed. I didn't want to do it again. And they were like, oh, well, it won't be a clean catch. And I'm like, you guys know the blood comes out of a different place than the urine comes out of, right? Can we just try that first? because we're testing for protein in my urine, but obviously if I accidentally get blood in there. But anyway, so the woman came into the bathroom to help me, but she wasn't really helping me. She was just watching me. So they give you this towelette, right, to clean everything because again, you want the clean catch. When I'm done with the towelette, now mind you, I just had surgery the day before. I'm holding onto the bar, right, the ADA bar, not handicap. We don't say handicap anymore. The ADA bar for disabled people, so that I can balance myself. They have the nun's hat in there because they've not been collecting my urine, but they've been measuring my urine. They were measuring my intake and my urine for my kidneys. So I'm doing all this. I wipe myself and I put the towelette in the toilet. The lady goes off on me of like, those are not flushable. Those are not biodegradable. They should be in the trash can. Well, bitch, then you should have held your hand out for me to put that in your hand to get it to the trash can, because there is no way that I could waddle over there, like get up off this toilet, waddle over there, put this in there, and then get back to this toilet and pee and catch this. Like once I've wiped this pee is ready to come out. So I don't know what you're talking about. But for her to expect for me to have been able to do that, and I was on pain meds at the time, but still, like, girl, like, no. In the grand scheme of things, what is more important, like my ability to move or what I've just done to we haven't flushed the toilet. So if you're real passionate about it, sis, put your glove on and get in the toilet and get this towelette out. But what you're not going to do is stand in this bathroom and go off on me about a towelette and I can barely move. That's what you're not going to do. Not and let me say nothing. Yeah, your mama's getting animated. You waking up? Did I wake you up? No? Okay. You woke me up, but I want to go back to sleep, lady. Pipe down. Okay, you're right. I'm getting hyped. I'm putting a 20 on it, son. But yeah, so just like a lot of like not believing. And then when they would ask me my pain level and I would say I was at an 8, and they'd be like, well, you're moving well. It's as if to say, well, I don't believe you're really at an 8. Then don't ask. If you already know what my pain is, or you think you know high hope and victory, don't ask. Then like you just insulted me now. My son's 19 now, took Zoloft and nursed him 2 years. He's totally there. You go. See, Shannon? Yes. And it definitely has helped me overall, because there was, I think, if you watch the vlog, there was a time where I had been off the Zoloft for more than 7 days, so it was out of my system and I was not right. And then I took it, but again, it takes like about 7 days for it to get back into your system. I think one of the vlogs I put Zoloft has entered the chat. So it definitely was a marked difference, and I'm hormonal, so it just like, let's set me up for success, right? We don't want me at home alone doing strange things to my baby. Does anyone that takes Zoloft feel sleepy after they take it? I have to take mine or not. I have not felt sleepy, but maybe there are others. If you guys have had that experience, drop it in the chat. I just feel like calm in general. I used to do, before I was well regulated, Xanax and also Klonopin, like to get a quick. Now Xanax I can't do anymore because it's too much of a drop of like I'm hype and then all of a sudden I'm almost comatose. Not comatose, but very chill. It's like it feels like if you've ever driven a standard transmission car, like you're going fast and you accidentally downshift to 2. Is it to 2? It's second gear to the 2 on the dial. Second gear. I'm gonna nurse him. Let me see. Whereas the Klonopin kicks in slowly, and so that was more, but those are controlled and addictive. So I was given that sort of as a bridge to regulation. So, are you hungry or not? Now you close your eyes. You're like, I want to be fed and be asleep. Okay, fine. Oh my God. The other tricky part about breastfeeding and being old is a lot of times, like if the boob is like half empty or not engorged or near engorgement, I have to hold it because it's so floppy, like the connective tissue. So it's like, it'll just plop out of his mouth. The things we learn as we age. Or definitely they were like nice and perky when I had Cheyenne. It was easier for her to manage. But this one, I'm pretty sure, because already like, we co-sleep. I'm not on the connector. But we co-sleep, and sometimes he'll wake up and his hands will be like swatting at my boob and my bra. Like there's gonna be a time when he's old enough to like unhook this bra. and get the boob himself, because he's already working toward that, which is I find very hilarious. Cheyenne never did that, but he is like, I want to be fed now. So I have to be mindful of his cues. But again, in the bed, I'm asleep. He's gonna figure it out. I have a girl planning on working on number two next spring, summer. I have another girl embryo of. Oh yay! I'm hoping and praying and sending good vibes that that works out. If you didn't see my live on Friday, I'm working on number two. Well, I will be working on number two. I feel like it'll be a gift for him. I started to say this earlier. I was watching somebody's YouTube, and she was like that. She remembers feeling like when her mom gave her sister, it was a gift for her. And she was like, I hope that my son feels that way about his sister. So I feel like that is really my intention, is a gift for Sugar Bear to have another one. And like the other stuff, we just have to work through. I was telling myself no because I was like using the voice of others to judge me of like, how do you know if you're going to be able to afford it? How do you know if that makes sense? You might be 54 when that child is blah blah blah, or you'll be 54 when that child is born, whatever that noise is. But I feel like, again, trusting my intuition that it's the right thing, and if I think about it and manifest it in a positive way, then it will happen. And stop talking up the negative stuff, because the more you talk about it, it's going to happen, right? That's what you're putting out vibrationally. Abraham Hicks fans know what I'm talking about. This Atlanta traffic is crazy. I just try to avoid the freeway as much as possible because I'll start throwing stuff at people's cars. Baby, listen, I don't want to see you on one of these shows that I'm watching where the cops come and get you. I wrote you about the Single Mom by Choice New York meetup. There's another one coming. Oh, please do. I definitely want to go. I want to start getting into more groups with Single Moms by Choice. So I would appreciate that. Baby is growing well. He'll be 6 weeks. Yay! Breastfeeding is going well, but due to my implants, I'm making just enough. So I started giving a top up feed. Okay, please do the nursing video. Definitely will. Are you doing power pumping? It really takes about 12 weeks to establish. But top up is fine. I mean, as you guys know, I did formula supplements for a little bit. I didn't want to do it in the beginning because I wanted to establish it. But then at the end, I was like, I'm tired of talking about his weight. So I'm just going to do this so we can move on, at least the medical professionals. Because then also, this is the other thing, I'm super cheap. Every time we had to go in for a weigh-in, they were calling it a sickness thing, and then I had to pay a copay. Where if it's a wellness visit, you don't have to go in. I mean, it's only $10, so it's not the end of the world, or it might be 20, whatever it is. It's not that much. It's not the end of the world. But on principle, I was just like, this is silly. Mainly because they're viewing it as illness, right? They're viewing his weight checks as something is wrong, and I just did not want to have that stigma. But I also feel there's a he drinks it fast. You okay there? Go go go. I also feel there is a non-breastfeeding community or non-supportive. Okay, I'll do this because I can see this way over here. Where they're like, oh, you might not be making enough, you might not, and so they quickly rush people to that without explaining like it will eventually you will make more. Do you know what I mean? I'm glad you're doing what works for you. I'm just saying while I'm thinking about this, all this will be in the video. But I'm glad that you're trying, because it sounds like you may not have tried because you have implants, or at least no matter how much that he's getting something from you, which is good. Again, fed is best, but every little bit of breast milk helps, like with their immune system. Are you okay? You're getting hot. Hang on, guys. Let me just turn the air up a little bit more because he's sweating. I'm holding him close. Sorry, baby. Okay, yeah, it was on 78. He's sweating. I'm sweating. So what's with all the sweat you want to say? Let's see. Can you see? No, you're staring off at something. It's hot, huh? Yes. What is it? A cute self. But yeah, he's growing well, Mrs. M. So I'm glad to hear that. So excited for you. I've paused TTC journey. I married, oh no, a covert narcissist for 12 years, too long, miscarried in 2020. I'm a stroke. Oh my God, battered in February 2022. Filed for divorce same month to save myself. Good for you. I'm sorry that you went through all that, but I'm glad that you recognized it and moved on. Yes. Where are you trying to go? You may take this thing off you? Okay, hold on. He's bucking now. You awake? Is that also contributing to your heat? Hold on, let me get my boob in here. Okay, I'm gonna take you out. Hold on, 1 second. Yes, yes. Until it cools off in here. Okay. You did sleep though, which was good. Oh, okay. It's so interesting. I'm glad people are talking about narcissists now. Sometimes I think it's overused, but I'm also glad that it's giving some of us language, especially the covert narcissists. I've dated more than one. Um, so I'm glad that you recognize it and got out of there. The stroke is crazy. I'm glad that you survived it. Woo! And you're okay. Wait, where are you going? Where are you going? This little boy, his legs are so strong. Where are you going, sir? You want to be in your swing for a little bit? Is that where you're pitching up to? Let me try him in the swing. Give me 1 second, guys. Uh-oh. Oh, there goes the spit up. I was trying to burp you. Okay. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Mommy didn't give you your medicine yet either. That's funny. That's funny. It is. Okay, hold on. Oh, let's see if I can get up. Whoa. Up, up, up. Okay. Give me 2 seconds, guys. Talk amongst yourselves. There you go. Okay. Woo-hoo. Oh no. Oh no. Are you swinging? Okay. All right. Thank you for your patience. You know what it is. I can't be one of those moms that ignores their kids while they're recording. Like, I have a newborn. You know what it is. For 2 more weeks, then I just have a 4-month old. Yeah. I'm glad, like, I'm proud of you, my Chronicles of Life, for overcoming that. Just honor yourself and give yourself grace and that you did that. Some of us stay too long, if there is such a thing. Some of us never leave. Like, you did what was best for you, and I'm glad. And it makes sense to take a break. Single mom by choice is an option too, but heal yourself. You know what? That part is important. So I'm glad that you're out of that and you're safe and you're healthy. I had a doctor tell me that it's common in Black people, low white blood cells. I was like, oh my God. I always had low white blood cells too. That is a Black people thing. I didn't know that until my GP told me that. There was something about 40 that made me really aware of my health. But not that I was ignoring it before, but I wasn't like making a conscious effort about it. And there was something about turning 40 that did that. And my white blood cells always came back low. And the GP, who was, or who still is, a woman of color, a Black woman, had said that. I'm just thinking I'm not on the connector. Oh my God. If someone is biracial, they're still Black, at least in America, right? I think in other countries it's not, but when in America, isn't there like a law of like 1/10 Black blood? Has anybody ever heard that makes you Black even if you're of two races? I think it has something to do with slavery. Like, they didn't want the children, because the masters would be raping the enslaved women, and they wanted their children to be Black. Like, the white people wanted the enslaved children to be Black, so they said, even if you have like 1/8 or 1/16 or something. Has anybody heard that? Am I making that up? Anyway, because she's biracial, that's why I was saying it. But anyway, she's Black, and she told me that about the white blood cells. I also was watching a Black doctor last night on YouTube, and she was saying taking the vitamin D and calcium together can be dangerous. It can harm the arteries. I need to go back and watch it and do some research on my own, because some of the supplements come with the calcium and vitamin D together. It's supposed to help absorption. So that was like a thing. Rhonda. There's an article from the CDC that acknowledges mistreatment during pregnancy and delivery from doctors that was just released. Oh, the article is from CDC. Check. I definitely will. Oh my God, there's so much. And then there was a woman who died recently in the Bronx after delivery. I want to say she had a blood clot. I don't remember, so I don't want to misquote it. But she died. The baby lived, a little girl, and the dad is now obviously raising the little girl by himself. They're suing, which I would too, and they closed that hospital down. Then I saw one there was in LA recently, and then we talked about the one in Florida. I'm not going to repeat what the tragedy is because I know some of you guys are pregnant, but obviously it was a bad outcome, and they're suing. And then there was something yesterday where they were showing photos of the baby that had the bad outcome in the guise of like medical research and teaching. And some people, I think it was on TikTok, whatever, people in the comments were like, oh, we need this for research, but did you get consent? Again, it comes back to consent from the family. Like, it's real new to them. Should you really be using this as a teaching example right away? Are you saying that without this happening, there's no way to teach about this? Because then that's almost like victim blaming. Like, the reason this happened is because we didn't teach about. You know what I mean? Like, come on, guys. Um. Anyway, yeah, there's a mistrust. There's a mistrust both ways for Black people overall, Black women specifically with doctors. We don't trust them and they don't trust us. So it is challenging and it's systemic. So some people are like, well, just get a Black doctor. But sometimes the Black doctors also have learned that because it's built into their system of training, in the same way that you can find a Black police officer who is very cruel to a Black citizen because they've been indoctrinated. Some of them know better, they know what it is, if you will, but others don't, and they're just like, well, if you wouldn't have resisted. Anyway, don't get me started. Let me get on the connector. Insensitive medical people, totally. Rhonda, do you have a link, as Oliver is asking, to the CDC article? If you have it, I will pull it up if somebody drops it in the chat because I'm curious about it. Transfer for baby number 2 in 2 weeks. You not ready? Oh my God. You ready. You ready. I'm claiming it for you. I'm ready for you. 2 weeks. Yay. Hope that you are resting and doing well and thinking positive. Oh my God. 2 weeks before transfer. All the feels. All the feels. I'll be saying that before you know it. So yes, keep us posted. Baby number 1 is now 13 months. Yay, yay. I love it. I love it. I breastfed pumped with baby number 1, and unfortunately I never made enough. Oh, okay. But you were able to give something of what you pumped? And I commend you, sis, because breastfeeding and pumping is a beast. It's like a 3 feed. I did not have to pump with Cheyenne. I pumped a little bit, like when I was engorged. I don't know if it was because I was younger. I know things that impact like our age. Also, cesarean section, because there's a process that happens when you birth vaginally that doesn't happen with the cesarean. There's a lot of things that happen for both mom and baby, but that can make it more difficult. But yeah. Am I going to work from home? No, I'll be in the office. Well, our company right now has it as we speak, Monday, Friday from home, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from the office. But I'm in a leadership role, so it's kind of hard to be at home all the time. Well, not all the time. Even the Monday, Friday, I would end up going in if, like, depending on what was going on. But yeah, no, I'm not gonna work from home. Well, not full time. I will work, like I said, Monday, Friday, when possible. The URL is too long to paste. Type this in the search. Many women report mistreatment. Okay, I'm gonna type that in. Oh God. Oh wait, I'm trying to. Oh no, it won't let me copy it. Okay, hold on. Many women report mistreatment during pregnancy. Many women report mistreatment during pregnancy. For those of you guys who have joined late, thank you for joining. I definitely recommend later going back and being on the replay crew because there was some good stuff at the top, if I do say so myself. There's some things that I needed to say to y'all, and I feel like it will be useful. Many women, okay. Let's see. I'm gonna do this. Hopefully I can share today. Friday was not letting me share, but let's try this right now. Present, share screen. Can you guys see that? Yeah, okay. Let's look at this then. So September 12th, 2023, 1 in 5, about 20% of women reported mistreatment while receiving maternity care. Oh, and up here, if I didn't say this, moms deserve respectful and equal maternity care. About 30% of Black, Hispanic, and multiracial women reported mistreatment, 1 in 3. I definitely am one that got mistreatment during the aftercare with the pediatrician. 45%, almost half of women held back from asking questions or sharing concerns during their maternity care. Oh my God, that is sad. Every mom deserves respectful and responsive care during pregnancy and delivery. Survey finds clear disparities in mistreatments during maternity care. 20% of those surveyed reported experiences of mistreatment during maternity care, 30% of Black, 29% of Hispanic, and 27% of multiracial women. So they skipped over the you're Black if you have blah, blah, blah. Multiracial could obviously be Asian and Hispanic, or white and there's different variations of being multiracial without Black being a component of that. Better communication is needed during maternity care. Almost 45% of moms reported holding back. The top reasons included thinking or being told by friends or family what they were feeling was normal, not wanting to make a big deal about it or being embarrassed to talk about it, thinking their healthcare provider would think they're being difficult, thinking their thinking their healthcare provider seemed rushed, not feeling confident that they knew what they were talking about. To improve the quality, healthcare systems can support care that is respectful and considers the patient's values, needs, and desires, i.e., patient centered care, equally for all mothers. Maternity care providers can ensure patients are engaged in their health care and feel heard and respected. Communities can raise awareness of respectful care and promote health equity. I love all of that. I'm also going to say, it ties back into our trauma too, right? If people are telling you what you feel is normal, that is encouraging you to second guess your intuition that something is not normal, right? Because basically they're telling you it's fine, you're okay, think positive, all those helpful things that people say. Trust your intuition. If there's something wrong, if something feels wrong, talk about it to your healthcare provider. Also, I think there's a bit of shame of like, this person is credentialed, they know this. What if this is a stupid question? No question is stupid when it comes to your health. Like, better to ask that question and get an answer that you probably may have instinctively known or not known, but just better to ask than not ask. Better to know than not know, right? And then I think also there's a little bit of generational trauma in that, our mistrust of the medical profession. Find a doctor that you trust that's going to deliver your baby. If I have nothing else to ever tell you, if you never learn anything from me, please know that. That was one of the things that I shared with the doula, was like, I trust my doctor implicitly. I wouldn't have had her as my doctor otherwise, right? Especially not after the journey that I went on to get the baby. It wasn't enough to be pregnant. I needed the baby alive, earthside. So find someone that you trust, and that happens in the interview. And so, like, question as much as you can and question it again. I will say, like, I didn't have anything wrong with my maternity care, but again, back to this pediatrician, she wanted me to second guess myself. And she wanted me to rely solely on what she had to say. I'm not saying don't trust them. My problem with her, or one of the many issues that I had with her, is she would tell me things without explanation. So I don't know if I can trust you if it's not explained to me, right? Like, I'm not a child, and I shouldn't even say that. We shouldn't do that to children. Just do what I tell you. But that was basically her attitude. Because I told you so. And when I would ask why, there was no answer. And like, the final straw was like, she wasn't going to release me unless I gave the baby formula. That was another because I told you so. You're not telling me why. That's when I had to get a lawyer on the phone. Ask questions, you deserve an answer, demand an answer other than because I told you so or because I said so. Like, what are the studies? You should be able to like Google it and pull up something that coincides with that, because for real, we just saw that. What was the lady let? All of you guys don't watch it, and if you're pregnant, skip past this or put your hands in your ears or whatever. The Lucy Jet, whoever she was in the hospital killing babies. Every healthcare professional, I'm not trying to scare anybody, but that is a prime example. Every healthcare provider doesn't have your best interests at heart. So question not only the questions you have about what's going on with your body, but question that person's integrity, right? Or not their integrity, question their intent. Yeah, there's a definitely a strong mistrust, and so that seeds just a lot of complacency. Anyway, okay, let me get on the connector. Thank you so much for letting us see him. I was super close to asking where he was. Can't wait to have a baby of my. Oh yeah, he's been in my arm the whole time. At the top, I was practicing with him in a swaddle in the little baby straight jackets. So yeah, I use powdered formula and he's not liking it. The reflux is hectic. He is struggling to poop as a result. Oh no! But I hope it changes soon. Are they? Well, I guess you can't change the formula right away. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, I started him off on the ready to feed because I had gotten like a free box. I think I told you guys that like Infamil, you can sign up for whatever program they have. They sent out a free box. They gave me 3 cans of formula and then a box of ready to feed. So 6 2-ounce bottles in there. Um, I do notice though that when he has the formula, he spits up a lot more. Um, I had the battle with his own pediatrician about the reflux med. So somebody commented on my video yesterday, like, "Yep, that's a reflux," because he's not a fussy reflux or some people. So the babies are crying a lot, and so that's how they know. Because he wasn't doing that, she thought it wasn't reflux. It took a while. I think by the grace of God, one day he performed his reflux in the office, and so then she was like, that was the day she prescribed it at his 2-month checkup. Um, yeah, that just listen to your instinct again on that. Like I had to keep saying it every visit because that was what my intuition was telling me. And then there are other people again, here's just like helpful, not helpful. People are like, "Oh, I did this to my baby and they never had reflux." Well, my first baby never had reflux. So because your baby never has reflux, it doesn't mean like sometimes there is causation does not equal correlation. Your baby could have just not had reflux because they didn't have it, right? And the things that people were recommending, I didn't do with my first baby, and she never had reflux. So but trust your instinct. Like there will be well-meaning people who will tell you things that don't fit for you, including me, because I'm human. So just I would say trust your instinct on what is best for your child. He still has the reflux, but he is finally gaining weight, and he has it less than when um before he took the meds, and he's had it always. So because at first they were like, oh, thank God he's doing that because he was a cesarean baby, right? So they were saying that helps push, they were saying it was coming solely out of his lungs, it helps push the fluid out of his lungs, whereas like C-section, because you're just pulling them out the pot, they didn't get all that squishing to get everything out. Apparently, it also impacts that muscle in here because they go through the vaginal canal. It's a big swoosh where you don't have that in a cesarean baby. But then it continued on, right? And so, and like some babies, you suction them and it comes out, but mostly it's easier with the vaginally birthed babies, like because they swallow amniotic fluid, right? I mean, that's their job while they're in there is to swallow amniotic fluid. Because they're peeing and out comes that's where the amniotic fluid comes out, and then they swallow it again, and that's what sustains their whole being in there. But yeah, I knew right away he had it, but nobody wanted to name it that, and it took a while, but you have to be persistent. What ended up helping though is there's a formula he is that I give him, which is this right now. It's powdered. It's like a neuro something. It's from Infamil, but it's what they give the not the newborn. I mean, they are newborn. They're preterm babies, right? It's 22 calories an ounce, and so that helped him with his catch-up weight. But the majority of his food is coming from breast milk, and we're getting ready for a baby-led weaning. I know he's only 3 months. I won't start it until he's 6 months and is able to sit up on his own. But like we've been practicing in the high chair. He likes being in the kitchen with me, and instead of wearing him all the time, I just put him in one of the high chairs. He has 2, but I'm learning so much about that. Like these high chairs are not going to work for him when he starts unless he's longer because his feet don't rest, and their feet have to be down and oh my God, parallel to the ground, not dangling, because then their body is doing more work and they can't focus on eating. And so there's a bunch that I'm learning about that. I'm not on the connector. I don't know where I'm going with this. But yeah, so I'm getting ready for the baby led weaning, and I'm excited about that. And then obviously when he's 1, he won't milk won't be his only form. Breast milk won't be his only form of sustenance. But anyway, I digress. Let me find the connector. Tamara, hello, I'm well. How are you doing? I also have low white blood cells. Yeah, I've had it for years now. It's been on my physical, at least. I'm trying to say, I didn't have insurance when I first got here because I wasn't like an employee. I was a contractor until 2011. So then I had insurance. I would say for sure since 2011 till today, I have had low white blood cells. And at first they would test it twice. Like I'd have my physical, would come back, and then they test it again. And then I think like after the third year, my doctor was like, it's more typical for black people, black women, and so I didn't worry about it. Tanya, I've decided to wait until next year to do my second round of IVF. I need to get my life and mental health under control. I've had too much trauma for 1 year on this journey. I totally understand, and don't let anybody judge you for that. I, as you know, took a year off. And I tried to tell people, like explain to people what my trauma was, and people would just be like, oh, it's okay. Just be positive. Just do it again right away. And it was like, because they would say, just do it again. You'll probably get a positive pregnancy test. And I'm like, but there's also the possibility that I won't. And am I mentally prepared for that? And the answer was no. And thank God I trusted my instinct on that. But it's hard. I feel like it's especially hard in the TTC community when you tell people you have to wait. Because for some reason, people think it's helpful to say, don't wait. You know what you need. And I'm glad you're trusting your instinct. Clearly, Sugar Bear is also glad that you're trusting your instinct. And you'll know when you're ready. You'll know. And God has a master plan. So, that posted. You know why? Because I'm on both channels. I'm like, why did I do that? I forgot I was on there. Just mainly because this topic was more becoming Tanika topic, but I haven't posted over there in so long. So I wanted to make sure as many people as possible. Off topic. But what is your opinion on the immigration crisis in NYC? I see a lot on the news, but haven't heard from anyone who actually. I don't know. Like I saw the video where the mayor, I'm not a fan of this mayor, was saying we have no more room, which kind of reminds me of like when Mary was trying to give birth to Jesus, and they're like, we have no more room. I don't know. I don't see what the problem is, but I also don't know what financial resources the city is expending to take care of the migrants. I know we pay a hell of a lot of money for New York City taxes, so I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't think it was cool when like governors from other states were flying people here because they like Florida specifically, and I think Texas did it somewhere else in the South, because Florida is in the South, did it, but I don't remember. So I'm not a really good person that has my thumb on that, so to speak. I find it interesting. I find it sad. Like America was built on people coming from other countries coming here to live, right? Some of us willingly, some of us forcefully, but still, the people who were from America were the indigenous people, the natives. And we ain't treating them right. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about it to really have an opinion. It doesn't impact me, I guess. That's why I don't have an opinion. I don't see it. I don't know how the resources are, what the resources are. Like, are we providing them shelter? Like, why can't they be here, I guess? I don't understand that. And if not here, then where? Because I'm sure every place could make a case for not having them. But if we're supposed to be the big melting pot, especially in New York City, I don't know. I mean, I know like this is totally from oh my God, not political, but from, I don't even know how to say it. This is non-emotional is what I'll say. We need more people, right? Like to sustain an economy, every country needs an X amount of people. So I don't know how we can afford to take those away. I know there are people afraid of what does more people look like, which is why they're doing like the abortion bans. So they want like people to have those children to help the economy, right? Ultimately, because they need to be in the workforce, they need to be paying into Social Security. All of those things help a society by having more people. But it seems like particularly, I mean, I'm going to say it, hopefully it's not offensive, particularly rich white people want it to be other white people. Statistically, there are more poor white people having abortions than any other race just because there are more white people, period. And so they're trying to ban those people from having those abortions, no matter how horrific their lives may be as a result, because that ultimately helps the workforce, which ultimately helps them. Right? Rich people need people to be poor. They need people to be delivering mail. Not to say if you deliver mail, you're poor. You're just not as rich as the rich people is what I'm saying. And they know people will flock to those jobs because they're like the good jobs, quote unquote, the stable jobs. So like mail delivery, taking out the trash. So there's a part of having people to sustain society as we know it, to make it comfortable for people, especially rich people. Um, so yeah, that's a whole other. Again, I'm not on the connector. Oh yeah, all that's happening over there. Sorry, I didn't mean to ignore you. Is all that happening? What's? I don't know why the girls are resting and not playing with you. Okay. Um, Mom Jones, that was probably more answer than what you was looking for, but that's my opinion. Love. I've never worked in corporate. Would you mind explaining how it works when you're on leave? Who does your job when you're away, and what does that person do when you return to work? Oh, that's a good question. Um, so in my case, they didn't backfill me. No one else came in to do my job. What they did was split up my responsibilities amongst my manager's direct reports, right? So they didn't bring, oh my god, I can't even imagine what that transition would be like, to bring someone in like off the street, as I say. I hate that expression, but to bring someone in net new, to do my job would have been sort of a nightmare to try to train them on that. So because we all have the same manager, we're all in our updates together, they have a sense of like what's going on with my stuff, and so it's been divided up among those people. um I'm not gonna lie, I do miss it a little bit. Like I did send my manager a note, like I had a dream about them. But I'm also grateful for this time. I did not have this luxury with Cheyenne. I think I mentioned that before. Right, Sugar? Did I tell you too? That I only had 6 weeks off when I had your sister, and I get 6 months off with you? Did I tell you that? I can't hear you. Um Yeah, so that is how that works. I think it depends on where you are in the corporate structure if they bring in someone else. Like certainly if I were a receptionist or a secretary or an assistant, they would have backfilled me, right? Because then the people that I was supporting would need someone to like manage their calendar and all that. So that does happen in corporate as well. I just don't have that kind of role. So it depends on what role you have. But I'm curious, when you like, where do you work, Love, and what happens when people go out on leave? Like if someone has a medical leave, is it they hire someone, or a colleague works at it, or yeah, I think it's just different. I have a piece of hanging skin. I think it's different depending on where you work and what your role is. Um Yeah, but because what I do is not really about my work output, it's more about, it just sounds so weird, about my thoughts than anything else. It can be divided up. But like if I were doing something that where it was about my physical output, then they would have to backfill it. Meaning like if I was the one delivering packages to the office, like they would have to have a whole other person come in and do that, right? Or if I was like I'm trying to think of what else, like an AV coordinator, where in the conference rooms you come in to help the people. Like they couldn't just split that up amongst the existing employees, right? Like that's a whole person missing. Where my work is more about thoughts and conversation, which is why I have all the meetings. People make fun of me because all the meetings, but it just is. So I think it's easier to kind of fill it that way, which is also why I think they do give us 6 months off. I mean, everybody can get 6 months off, but I don't think everybody takes the 6 months off. Yeah, I don't know if I answered your question or not. Oh, you think I did, Sugar Bear? I'm gonna give him a toy. Let's see, or one of his lovies. Do you want a toy? Somebody who you can talk to, since me, Liberty, and Justice are occupied elsewhere. Yeah. You want this? You want to play with the lovey? Uh-oh. Oh, that got Liberty's attention. Now she wants to come play with you. Yeah, go ahead. Help her play with the lovey, Liberty. Don't take it from him. Um, yeah, so I think it just depends on the jobs. But I'm thinking like when I had the kidney surgery in 2006, I was an assistant, and so I had to train someone to do my job. I think he still has that job to this day, actually. And also because when I came back, I wasn't going to be an assistant. I had got promoted to auditor. So when I returned from my leave, which then I'm pretty sure it was only 6 weeks too, when I returned from my leave, I was coming back into a totally different role. So I trained the person that was doing it. But the type of work that I was doing, it definitely needed a backfill. But if I had gone out on leave as an auditor, they wouldn't have backfilled me with someone else. They would have split it amongst my colleagues. So yeah. um Shannon Lane, as a white woman that has biracial children, white black. Okay, I've learned so much about how horrible healthcare is for black women. My girls are 24 and 22 and still won't go to oh no. Yeah, it is crazy. So okay, so you're a good person to ask. Like, do your children identify? I mean, obviously they are biracial, but I'm just trying to figure out, like, when they fill out forms, I'm not trying to put them in a box, but like I've always been taught that they're black. I would say still black. They're always black. That they're black, even if they're biracial. So how do your girls identify? And I'm sorry about that. And I feel like even with your girls, they probably have an advantage by having a white mother, because there's a contrast. Like, you have a different experience than what they have that you can explain to them. I mean, I will say that I have learned that as a person who dates white people, male and female, that their perspective has helped me sort of stand up for myself a little more by seeing how they're treated, or by seeing how I am treated when I am with them. So I'm sure your daughters have a very different experience when you go to the doctor with them as adults versus not going to them. Are you eating your friend over there? Do you want to come back over here? I'm sure the ladies would love to see you talking. You want to come over here? Are you ready yet? Since Liberty and Justice clearly have found it okay to come over here. I'll let you sit there for a little while longer, and then you can come join us. um yeah, so that's interesting, and I'm sure like it's eye-opening for you, so then it helps you advocate for other black women, right? Where before you probably wouldn't have seen it. And I also feel like people are more willing to see like these racial constructs post George Floyd. Unfortunately, he had to lose his life for that to happen, but I feel like it's been more eye-opening for people about the disparities, because I think before people were more willing to like blame the victim and be like, you're probably misunderstanding, type of thing. I'm gonna bring him over here so he can talk. Oh my god. Hello. You want to come over here and do all that talking? Yeah. Okay. Oh my goodness. I don't know if you'll talk to them because you won't hear them talk back to you, but maybe mommy can read what they're saying. You want to talk to the ladies? Oh no, no, you don't. What are you looking at the light? Um, do you want to? And Sugar Bear is biracial. That's mainly why I'm asking. Like, how do the children perceive themselves? Hi, you want to say hi to the ladies? No, you don't. You was doing all that talking. Oh, and I left your lovey over there. Sorry. Is there one here? Let's use this lovey instead. Oh, how about this one? You want to hang out with this one? Yeah. Okay, we'll see how much he wants to talk over here. Always have with me health. I swear, I knew what you meant. I knew what you meant, Shannon. Don't worry about it. He's having his own live. He's giving his advice. Yes, he's having his live with somebody. He was just over there talking. um I don't know if you remember me. Hi, I'm Rachel. I had my IVF baby in November 2021. Had a failed FET and fresh embryo transfer. Just had PRP and stem cell treatment 2 weeks ago to help recuperate dormant eggs. Oh, nice. I don't know. I don't remember your handle, but this story sounds familiar. There's a lot more people doing PRP. I did not choose to do PRP. One, it's expensive, but two, I did not see any statistical data where it improved live outcomes. I know like some women who didn't have their period got their period, but I'm glad that you are moving forward, and I am hopeful that you will get your desired outcome. If this PRP fails, I'm ready for donor eggs, all at the age of 39. Okay, it's good you were open. I wasn't open until the very end to donor eggs, and now I'm so glad that I did. And I would say to anyone who is on the fence, follow your heart, because I would hate to say, go ahead and do it because this is my experience, because you may have a different experience. My main concern, one, again, it was like pure arrogance of like, I want to continue my legacy, and somehow my legacy was tied to like my genetics. Whereas I had to move past that. And then also I was like, I have a stepson because Cheyenne has an older brother, right? Like she has a lot of, but the only one that I know is the older one. And so I remember like I came into his life just before he turned 1. Like literally, I think I met his dad in like February or so, and he turned 1 in March. And so I remember loving him and like, oh, I love him just like he's my own. But then when I had Cheyenne, I felt a different kind of love. So I was like, okay, so it wasn't like he was my own. Like I just had not had my own to like have that. Is that too much light? Let me see. Um, just gonna put that over here. Okay. So I was worried about that. But then also having carried him, I have this connection to him. Like I knew him really before he knew himself. And so, but I don't want that to be the determining factor because I know some people are going to do donor eggs that are going to have surrogates. So I don't know if it's just the carrying part, but it's seamless to me. The way that I love him, it just fills my heart. Like if there is no like this is my son, you know what I mean? But in the beginning, I did not feel that way. So it took me a while. Like if you guys go back and watch my earlier videos, I was like, I'm never gonna have I'm never gonna do donor. And then I also was like, I'm never gonna do it, you know, after I'm 50, I won't have any more. Like, never say never. Here I am 52 with a double donor baby bouncing in my lap. So there you go. Not trying to trigger or upset anyone, but what is PRP? It is platelet rich. Oh God, let me see PRP. They do it for the face. It's called a vampire facial, platelet rich plasma injections. But then there's also one that they're doing now for the ovaries to help rejuvenate it. Um, so yeah, there is a theory that doing the PRP will help rejuvenate your reproductive system and improve your egg quality and pull up dormant eggs, and also will restore your fertility. There are times like women have had the PRP and it's really expensive because they're basically taking out your blood and separating it from the plasma and re-injecting the plasma back into your reproductive organs. So I'm not exactly sure. I know when you do the facial, they're putting it in your face, but I don't know about when they're doing your reproductive part. They're putting it in somewhere. I'm not sure where. I'm assuming the eggs, but I'm not the expert. So yeah, there's that theory of it, and a lot of like I've seen a lot of studies where like people have, like I said before, women have been able to like restart their periods, which means they're ovulating. Obviously, you can't have a period without ovulating, and so which is why when you're on birth control, that's not a period, that is a what do you call it? Oh my god, it's some kind of bleed, but it's not a period. Anyway, um, get on that connector, girl. Get on that connector. So yeah, that is the PRP, and there's a place that does it here, New Hope, that does it. I just haven't seen enough evidence about live birth outcomes, improve live birth outcomes. But if it gets you what it gets you, just like when people when I did the supplements, they're like, "Oh, the doctor says that doesn't really help." Did it help me have a baby with my own eggs? No. Did it help me overall? 100%. Like that has been my fountain of youth. Between the DHEA and the ubiquinol, I will swear by that to my dying day. I will be taking ubiquinol to my dying day because I just feel like it helps so many other aspects of my health, being youthful. So I'm sure there are things that the PRP outside of fertility specific benefits. I'm sure there's other benefits that it has. Hormonal balance, other things. I'm sure there's. My little pom poms are so lopsided. I did not feel like doing my hair when I was like, I gotta go live. I have this idea I need to talk to y'all about. Losing my last two from yet another ectopic pregnancy and having one failed transfer cycle and knowing that the only way I can have our rainbow baby is via IVF because I have no tubes. Oh yeah, that's rough. That is, I mean, all of it. The pregnancy loss, which I'm sorry for, the failed transfer. Those failed transfer cycles, like there should be like no, I shouldn't say mandated therapy. There should be the offering of therapy from the RE's office, though, because those can send you for a loop. And I think some people, especially people who haven't had to have multiple transfers, they downplay it. At least that's how I felt. Like when people were like, "Oh, just do it again. Stay positive." Blah blah blah. Like you don't understand the torment that I'm going through. Again, like diminishing the pain of Black women, right? Or second guessing you, or telling you you don't have a reason to cry. Like all of those sort of traumatic things from my past, or it triggers all of that for me at least. Yeah. So I mean, you'll know. That's all I can say is you'll know. Trust your instinct. TT's baby. You want to say hi to Auntie Tanya? You say hi, Auntie Tanya. No, you're like all around. You're just doing the baby things. You see his double chin? I've never been so excited to see a double chin in my life. You doing everything. Are you looking out the window? You see all that? You see the building over there? Yeah. And Justice, you trying to come over here, Justice? Come on. Oh my goodness, we got all the things. If you guys could see behind me, oh, these. I was talking about these the other day. I love these with the crinkle tissue. He loves these with these. Like he'll lay down and I'll do this. Look, without consent. Sorry, baby. We have a game that we play. And then I put them in here. That's what I was saying. He's practicing his grasp. Not his pincer like this, but he'll just grab it and pull it out. So it does help with fine motor skill. There's also a ball that has these in here. Tanya, I think you got this for him. I think this is one of the things you got for him. But yeah, and put it in there and he'll pull the little bits out. Let's see. Now he's watching. The girls are playing over there. He's watching them. They're playing quietly, which their mother appreciates. Do you want to grab that? Is that sun too bright for you? Anyway, okay. Um, do you still get your full salary during your time off? Yes. I'm in New York. I don't know if it's all of New York that does that. I know with my employer, who's not just in New York, is what it happens. Except for at the very end, I think it goes to 80% because then I'll switch to like the New York leave, something like that. It'll be the last 5 weeks I'll be on New York leave. So I think it goes down to 80%. Um, but yeah. PRP is a process whereby the ovaries are stimulated to induce follicle growth and produce eggs for fertilization. There you go. Except for the one for your face, because they also do PRP for your face. There's a PRP facial. It's basically, there's something in the plasma that's super rich and energizing and invigorating. And so they put it back into they put the plasma into your existing cells, and it's supposed to be like a rejuvenation, right? So, like I said, there's also a facial. There's different types of PRP, but the one for fertility is back into your follicle growth and to produce eggs for fertilization. And it's important that we say produce, right? Because you're not creating any eggs. We are born with all the eggs that we will ever have. And so it's basically calling to action and rejuvenating our existing eggs in the hopes of improving fertilization outcomes. Love, I invest in real estate, buy and hold. Okay. Oh, so you basically work for yourself? Is that, or you are working for a brokerage firm? So if you went out on leave, like what would that look like for you? Specifically for women with diminished ovarian reserve. There you go. I'm sure you're missed. Oh my God. I hope I'm missed. Somebody was like, "Well, aren't you afraid that means they can fire you?" And I'm like, "Girl, they can fire me at any time with or without leave." And people are like, "Well, you could sue." And I'm like, "I'm not going to sue. Do you understand the corporation I work for? I'm not going to have any luck. They have a whole floor full of lawyers." So it is what it is. I can't be making moves out of worry. I can't. I have to come from a place of strength. Brown Eyed Queen saying, "Oh, wow. I sincerely hope it works." How many times do you have to do it? I am Rachel. um do you do it like a couple of times and then you do a new retrieval, or is it one time? And how are they measuring? I mean, I guess obviously you could see right away you have more follicles, right? Like after it happens, and then they receive sperm, or they're fertilized, IVF, high in vitro fertilization. Yes, I'm definitely hoping that you get the outcome that you desire. Um, as a nurse, we get around 6 months with disability and family bonding. Some people get 9 with PTO if they save it up. C-sections get more time than vaginal, obviously, for having surgery. Okay, that makes sense. I don't know if our policy. I didn't even ask. You know what? I should call and say I had a C-section. I wonder if I will get more time. I didn't even think about that. Um, I'm trying to think because I've had employees go out on leave, and I remember like HR did ask that. I mean, I told my manager, I'm gonna call though. I'm gonna call and see if they're. I haven't really dealt with HR on my leave at all. It's so funny. Like when I went, I didn't put a video out about it, but people were like, "Did you tell the people at work?" And I was like, "Yeah." "Did you tell your manager?" I was like, "Yeah." "What did she say?" I'm like, "Congratulations." I don't know what else she would have said. If you guys, I'm curious. So maybe somebody, their manager said something crazy. So if you had that experience, let me know. Um, yeah. So the thing is, our job is guaranteed for 6 months. It is PTO is paid time off, right? So we don't collect PTO. What we have is like vacation. We have a thing called My Days. I don't think My Days can be used for leave. Like for yeah. They cannot. We have unlimited sick days. You definitely can't use your sick days for, but like if I was sick the day after my leave, I could be sick. And we got unlimited sick days as a result of COVID. Before we only had 11 days, which proved to be a problem in the middle of the pandemic. So now we have unlimited sick days, which was good too, because I feel like some employees like took exactly, not I feel like, I know from the data, they took exactly 11 days off every year because they felt like the company owed them that. Now that we have unlimited, you can't take unlimited sick days every year. You won't have a job. So it's literally when you're sick, take that off. But then there are still some people who will come in to work sick because they feel like there's some valor in that. And the policy is now, if you have the sniffles, do not cross this threshold. Like you can work from home, but don't come in. Like nobody finds that admirable in this day and age. Stay your sick ass at home. But yeah, so yes, for sure, they do have a total advantage because I speak up for them and has taught them how to speak up. They identify as Black women. Okay. Well, I'm glad that they have you and that you are willing to advocate for them and to go in there and speak up. Like I said, I've learned that through my relationships, and just like it's eye opening because obviously, if you have a Black mom, you're experiencing the world through her eyes. And so you may think like that's just how things are, and then you see it through someone else's lens, and so they have an advantage, right, by having you as a mom, so they can see it through your lens, and you can also see how they're not being treated fairly and speak up for them, right, like, hey, this is not right. And so yeah, I think that's good. I'm glad that you are there for them. I'm sure they are too. My mother is also a nurse, so another, oh yeah, so now you have a lot of information. Yeah, of course, Rachel. Uh-oh. You okay there? What's going on? You need your toenails clipped though. Let me see that. Okay. Say, Mom, don't tell my business on the internet. Healthcare is horrible for Black people. Black people, but maternity care for Black women is horrible. I recently seen a case in Southern California. Judge Hatchett daughter-in-law, beautiful, healthy. Oh no. Wow. Yeah, it's crazy. And for a long time, they were saying it was socioeconomic only, right? So if you were poor or poorer, or I don't know, um, what is it when you're not middle class? What's the one below that? Whatever that is. They were blaming it on that. And then Serena Williams had that issue. And of course, they had to rethink that. But yeah, it is definitely a struggle, but inform yourself. And so be your own advocate. I mean, I think if anything has been said on my channel, it's that, be your own best advocate. So you have to be informed, and you have to look at other people outside of people who look like you so that you have it modeled for you of like how it should be. That's one of the good things about YouTube. I know some people are like, oh, I only watch Black YouTubers or whatever. I watch it all because it's a different perspective. Yeah, and I mean, I think everyone knows it's different, if only because, like, if I'm dating someone, they're like, "What is it like to date a white person?" Which is kind of a weird question. I mean, I get what they're saying; they're acknowledging the difference, but I mean, each person is a person. It's different from. It's not like dating a white person is the same for every white person you date. You know what I mean? So, yeah, but I think it's good to get other people's perspectives. And also, like, you may come from a place of trauma and you may have a friend who doesn't come from a place of trauma. Well, I remember this like very clearly in high school. There was a young lady, she was biracial. Becca was her name. And I remember I felt really bad. Like, I don't know if some of you guys are from California, you'll know this. Like the men in Oakland are a little bit aggressive. I remember I would go up to Oakland on the weekends and you'd go to the mall. Like, was it Sabrani Mall? I can't remember. And guys would ask me for my phone number like super aggressively, and I would give it to them, and then I would feel bad because I have seen them cuss out people who wouldn't give them the number, right? And I was a 209, meaning that was my area code, so my neck is not. I was doing strange things here. And so I had told one of my friends, Becca, who never went to Oakland, and said that and like how I felt bad. And she was like, well, why would you give them the number? And I was like, well, I felt like I would be attacked if I didn't. Again, boundaries, people pleasing, afraid to say no, all those things. And she was like, you don't have to give anybody your number that you don't want to give. And if they're mad, that's their, like, that was like earth shattering to me. But because she had a different perspective. So I think it's good. That's why I say I think it's good to have friends with different perspectives than yours and not to be in an echo chamber. Again, that's a cult. If everybody you're around thinks exactly like you and has the same experience, isn't that a cult? Like you want to mix it up, get different perspectives. They do struggle at times not feeling black enough or like they can't totally relate because they haven't had a ton of issues. I totally get that. I have never felt, well, obviously I'm not biracial, but I've gone to predominantly white schools, so I've engaged up until I would say middle school. Well, seventh grade. Once I went to Catholic school, there was only one other black person. In most of my schools, there may have been one other black person, may have been related to me, my brother, my little brother. But people have said that to me, like I'm not really black because of the way I speak, which I think is like an insult to other black people. And it sort of divides it, like, oh, you're not like the other blacks. Sis, we all in this together. When they see us, when they see me, they see all of us. Nobody cares how I sound, if they're gonna be racist. Um, but yeah, so there are often times where I've not felt black enough, so I can't imagine like if they're actually biracial, like what that feels like. But people are quick to ostracize between that and black people's obsession with skin color. Like the colorism is real. I could care less like what shade you are. But even with the baby, people were like, "Oh, don't worry, he's gonna get darker." Like, when did I say I was worried about his skin color? Or people want to check his ears. People do that with my little sister. First of all, when they first get here, I just don't believe the whole ear thing because they're hairy. Like his whole forehead was, I mean, he had way more hair than this, but his whole forehead was hairy. His ears were hairy. So like now the ear hair has, let me move this so you guys can see it. The ear hair has fallen off. So they're like their normal color. But because he had the ear hair, they were like, oh, that's the color he's gonna be. And I was just like, is that true? Like, I don't think that's true. But I don't care either way. Like he could be purple and I'm gonna love him just the same. But yeah, I feel like there's not all black people, but there's a certain, like there's definitely a subset of black people who are very focused on either you're better because you're not so dark or you're better because you're really dark, like you're a real black person. Meanwhile, we all have the same struggles. You know what I'm saying? Beyond skin color and hair. Um, I like the movement of the biracial children though, of like their parents, at least on like TikTok and whatever, having their hair combed because it's different. And people are like, oh, they're just trying to show their child has good hair. And I'm like, I don't think it's a good hair or bad hair. First of all, any hair that's on your head is good. Trust me. As a 52-year-old woman whose hair has thinned not since birth, I haven't had any postpartum shedding, but since my childhood, any hair that's hanging on is a good hair. It's a good day. But yeah, the whole like, because their hair is different, and even amongst biracial children there's different versions of hair. So I think having the videos just to say, hey, there are other people like you, even if it's not the exact same hair texture. Like the Grimways, I love watching the Grimways, and when she does the kids hair, I don't know, that's something magical about YouTube for me too. But yeah, we're all yes, Lisa, thought about Judge Hatchett's daughter-in-law. I gotta watch that one. I don't know if I saw that one. That's crazy. First of all, I don't know Judge Hatchett, and I'm surprised because I know the judges. But yeah, this the baby's dying and the mom's dying in childbirth is unacceptable. Hello, love. I'm still on my TTC journey after 3. Hi, I'm a queen to me. How are you? I'm so sorry for your 3 miscarriages, and hopefully your take-home baby is around the corner. I had 3. I know what it's like. My dermatologist, who I've mentioned a million times, my IVF unicorn, had 13 miscarriages, and she still pursued. And now I think she has 3 or 4 girls, from mosaic embryos, single mom by choice. Definitely one of my motivators during this journey. Sarah, he's cut her bladder. Cut her bladder. Husband told nurses staff about blood in her folly. Ignored him until poor woman. No. Oh my God, that's horrible. Ashwagandha. Oh, nice. I like ashwagandha. Ashwagandha gave me like my ultimate chill. My only thing was it's expensive, right? Because well, at least the route that I went, because I wanted to go through a third party tested vendor, right? Because some you know they're not regulated, the supplements in the U.S., so they could claim it has X amount, but it could really have something else. So it was expensive, but I really did love it, and it definitely was a good alternative to me before being medicated, and even while I was medicated, like when I was on the 50 milligrams of Zoloft, like in my TTC part, I used ashwagandha to relax. It's good stuff, and it's an adaptogen too. So I took as many adaptogens as I could. Oh my god, though, if I could look back, how much money did I spend on supplements and whatnot? A lot. Like I could have put somebody's child through at least a year of daycare with the amount of money I spent on it. It doesn't restore quality, but just gives you access to the dormant egg. So if your eggs are not of good quality, there's low chance of a successful transfer and live birth. Okay, gotcha. So maybe that's why I haven't seen a lot of data on it, because maybe the eggs were not of good quality. It's such a gamble though, but at least it's an option. You know, I did it at least. I mean, really though, there is an option, and you have that option, and you can afford it. So it gives you another shot that you might not have had otherwise. So I'm glad that you're pursuing that. I did uterine PRP and ovarian. Oh, so there's two different kinds. Okay. Well, in addition to the face kind, that's a third kind, uterine and ovarian. So then they would put the PRP into the uterus, into the uterine lining, I'm assuming, and then the ovarian one, they do it for your ovaries. Sitting here now with my 4-month-old baby boy, that's what I'm talking about. I am 48. I did a lot more than that, including the supplements like ubiquinol, etc. But I think they both help. Okay, there you go. That makes sense. Proof is in the pudding. You're holding the pudding. It's all just too much for my mental, so I'm stepping back and focusing on us. Yep, I totally get it. I'm 41, because then it can become obsessive too. Like at times it was the only thing I could think of. I was spending money I didn't have. It was like, honey, it was a lot. And then I was like trying to take time off after each one, so I'm using up my vacation as it relates to transfers, you know. So then I never got like a real vacation. I mean, I did do Hawaii in 21, but again, it was like around, it was right before a transfer. My very first transfer in 21, we went to the Hamptons for a week afterward, because I thought that was gonna, it was, oh my god, I was desperate. That's what it was. I was coming from a place of desperation with the transfers, and so I had to step away for my own mental well-being. I'm 41. I can get pregnant. I just can't stay pregnant. I have a new doctor. She's Black and a woman, which is great. I'm so excited for our first appointment, because September 20th. Oh, it's coming up soon, to see what we need to do. I love it. I love it. Yeah. Oh my God. And I remember with the miscarriages, some people, sometimes the TTC community can be cruel. They would tell me, well, at least you know you can get pregnant, which is why I'm not a fan of at least. Like, how does that help me? Like my goal is not to get pregnant. My goal is like for a take home baby. But yeah, I'm glad that you have a doctor that is obviously one that you're excited to meet with and who will listen to you. So there we go. There you go. I'm awesome. I mean, that is awesome that is it Nikea? I don't want to say it wrong. NAD. Nike. I know you were in the premiere the other day, so I appreciate you. But yes, testify, yes, that you had it and it worked. So I am Rachel. Did you do ovarian and uterine as well, or ovarian? I think the vitamins help too. I think being in a good mental space helps, and that's why sometimes it's okay. Are you hungry now? Okay. I have a bottle. Ouch. Oh my god! I got a band-aid on my leg and it just rolled up. Okay. Mm. Okay, hold on. Let me get her other leg out, okay? And then I'm gonna wipe your face off. Not with my snot rag. This is a diaper. Oh my god, okay. Yes, I know. I know. So, Mom, you're just talking and talking, and I'm hungry. I don't know them ladies. I'm on my bottle. Okay, so you're right. You are right. Yes, you are. Okay. Um, I hadn't heard that info. Thank you for the update. Ubiquinol. Yeah, so ubiquinol, there's two forms of it. There's ubiquinone and ubiquinol. It provides energy to the mitochondria, to each individual cell. And as we know, the eggs are the largest cell in our body. And so basically it just boosts it up. It gives it more energy. For me, it's been like the fountain of youth. So as we age, our cells are always duplicating themselves, but as we age they lose some of the duplication or some of the ability to duplicate properly, and so it changes the cell. Like, for example, if you look at this part of my chin, or my jaw, it was not this way when I was 20, right? Even though my face is the same, my cells are the same, they've aged, and so it's changing what can be duplicated over time, right? Because the mitochondria, the little energy energizer bunny in each of our cells, is older. And so the ubiquinol, and ubiquinol is the pure form, not the pure form, that's not right. It is most readily available to our system. So the system uses more of it. Whereas if you use the ubiquinone, it has to convert it to ubiquinol. So your body has to do more work before it can use it, if that makes sense. So it's easier for your body to use the ubiquinol. It can use it faster with less energy, right? And the purpose of it is to gain energy. So the ubiquinol form is more useful more quickly, is no more quicker, whatever that conjugation is. Sorry, I'm having a brain fart. And so it has been useful for trying to conceive. But I would say, realistically, if you're hoping for it to use your own eggs, do it by 45. I did it after. It definitely helped me overall. I mean, I feel very youthful. Not like just to be tooting my own horn, but relative to not just being 52, but as a woman, there are people that I know who are 52 who probably don't have as much energy as I do. There are women who are 48 who don't. I feel like that is a contributing factor, not the sole factor. I also eat well, I exercise, but it's a part of my overall health protocol, if you will, health regime, whatever you want to call it. And so the authentic ubiquinol it comes from Japan. It has a thing in there. It's similar to my name. I think it's like Teneka, something like that. It costs a little bit more, but for that reason. Can you use the ubiquinone? Absolutely. It's cheaper. It will eventually do the same thing. Your body just has to put in a little more work to fully utilize it. I would recommend, if you get it from a company that does third party testing, so that if it says it's 200 milligrams, there's a guarantee, that it's 200 milligrams. I shouldn't say it. Nothing is guaranteed. It's more likely like there's someone who's verified, certified that they've tested it and this is the outcome that is come out as a result of their testing. Like, they're validating, yes, we tested it. It says 200. It has 200 after testing, if that makes sense. So that and DHEA, there's a clinic here in New York that recommends DHEA. It gave me terrible acne. If you're going to do that, I would say definitely have your levels tested before you start using it as a supplement. But I have a video on supplements. It goes more into it if you're interested. I'm kind of going off the cuff. I had notes prepared and was, more detailed and more concise in that video. I identify as a mom and wife who invest in real estate as an expensive. Okay, I got you. Well, apparently it's working for you, mom and wife. But yeah, I like that. Ask about your time having a C-section. It's worth asking. Stay home longer with Sugar Bear. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna ask either way. But I know it'll probably, if there's additional time, it'll be at the 80%. But I'll see. I mean, it doesn't hurt to ask. Closed mouth don't get fed. PRP is also done to thicken your endometrial lining. Okay. Oh, thank you, Uju. I only know about the facial. I mean, like, I've only really researched the facial, I should say. But yeah, it's expensive, but definitely not as expensive as ovarian or uterine PRP. This is my first treatment, and the effects last up to 3 to 4 months. So when you do that treatment, you got to be prepared right away. Within that window, right? They said that I should start seeing results within a month. They track the progress through AMH, FSH, and AFC. So they will be looking at your follicle count. FSH is so tricky. I was able to lower mine without the PRP. It varies from month to month, but the clinic, at least the one in New York here, always used. I had FSH of 51 time, they always reference that. They never let me forget that. So like somehow that's a part of the. And then once I started going to donor, my AMH didn't matter, but obviously you're not doing donor, so I get why that matters. Some places keep testing the AMH. I'm not sure why, unless it's to sort of guide you to donor eggs. Because if you're doing, I'm not sure why. I guess that's my point. Um, because AMH is more of a guideline. Like I've run across some women who feel like it's a 1-to-1 correlation. Like your AMH indicates exactly how many eggs that you have, and that's not true. It's more of like what is your not capacity, but like what is the remaining vitality of all your follicles, right? Of your ovaries. It's not a one, like it's, for example, if everyone who has like a one for an AMH, they don't all have the exact same number of eggs, right? Some may have more than that. So that one, I think it trips up a lot of women in the TTC community because some people right away will be like, well, what is your AMH? Like what my AMH is not necessarily going to impact you of like, because it's not a 1-for-1. But I guess in a range, it might be helpful. Kay. Oh, thank you. You see, he's chunking up too. He's getting like his just a little. I need to burp him before I forget because I'm holding him up and he might give us a nice surprise. Right? You might give us a nice surprise. Let me burp you. Um, let's try to keep your food down, shall we? Does that sound like a plan, sir? Okay. Oh my God, his little head is so wobbly. I was watching the other video because he holds his head so well. Sometimes I forget, and then I'll see it plop, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Because it wobbles around quite a bit. Because even my mom was like, "Why aren't you holding his head?" And I'm like, "He usually holds it up for the most part, but he is still a newborn, so I should do more of this." But we gonna get it together over here. Um, PRP is also done. Yeah, we did that one. I think we did that one. Sorry. As soon as my AMH peaks, I will start stimming. Oh, nice. Okay, so that is why they're retesting it when it peaks. That's interesting. So it takes a couple of weeks to see it, and then you have that window of 3 to 5 months overall. But it sounds like the first month might be watching, waiting for it. Like that makes sense to see the impact of it, right? They do the injections, and then it gives your body time to respond. Um, I never knew how many acronyms I'd have to learn to TTC. Oh my God. Not just TTC. I feel like all these boards that I'm on have it because I do true crime. So that's TCC, True Crime Community. And there's a bunch of acronyms over there. Like what is somebody's MO, like their modus operandi. There's so many over there. Don't even get me started. But yeah, there's a lot. You don't have to learn them all. Just you focus on getting your baby. And it's never be afraid to ask. Somebody will tell you. A lot of the forums have like their glossaries and whatnot, but there is a lot of, even on regular boards, like if they'd be like SIL, right, sister-in-law, or there's so many things. I know because I lurk on Reddit a lot. Harlem is getting crunk. Hopefully they're gonna finish this drum set. Can you guys hear me okay with the drums? Oh my God. Because I think the speakers are on both sides, and I'm right by this window here, and they are right outside that window. Um, I definitely believe in being informed as a Black woman. I definitely watch, listen, learn. Yes, they are aggressive in Oakland, same in LA. Control issues, red flag. There you go. Yeah, because I grew up in Central California, Oakland was closer to get to than LA. And by the time I went to LA, I was an adult, and so I feel like it was a little more manageable. But by the time I was in LA, if any of you guys are out there, I was over on La Tijera, or not, I was off of La Tijera, the Scissors, and that Magic Johnson Fridays was up there. And what they would do is they would hold out their car keys so that you could see, oh, they had a Range Rover, they had a Benz. Like that was their aggression, their passive aggression. Like basically spend time with me because I have money. Really, you have debt, sir. You have debt. So a lot of people in debt out there pretending to have money. Um, I'm mixed, Black mother and biracial father, but I'm very like curly hair, so people know I'm mixed with a Black mother. And some Black people are very obsessed with complexion. So I said, yeah, I don't know why though, because the only thing, I mean, it's kind of sad. Like if your idea is that light is better, it is paying deference to white people. Not saying there's anything wrong with being white, right? Obviously, but what I'm saying is you're then sort of following the slave master's rule of like lighter is better because the light people got to work in the house. Meanwhile, the subtext of that is also those light people were often the children of the slave master, so of course they wanted them in the house. Like, well, at least the dad. I don't know how the moms felt about their stepchildren being in the house, but yeah, I don't know what. Oh, there we go. I saw that. Okay, hold on, guys. Let me wipe him up. Okay. Does that feel better? Uh-oh. Mommy put your face right in it. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, baby. Say, Mom, you talking to those ladies and you are not paying attention to me properly. You are right, son. I'm sorry. Okay. See, so that he didn't even make a sound. If you guys noticed, I saw it in the reflection here that it came out. But yeah, okay. Is that better? Did we lose Liberty and Justice again? Oh no, Justice is there. Yeah, Liberty went back to her cubby. Okay. Um, Yeah, I'm not sure. And I think it's like bad messaging for darker skinned children because they can't change their skin. I do remember growing up hearing all this, and I'm not like terribly light or terribly black or incredibly, I shouldn't say terribly, incredibly white or light or dark. But my the men in the family would always be like, oh yeah, she's beautiful, she got that light skin, that good hair. And so because I didn't have light skin and good hair, I never imagined that I could be beautiful. It took me a long time to feel beautiful at all. And so yeah, childhood messages, right? But that was what was attractive to them, and so therefore that was what beautiful was. Which also made me think then that because my grandfather would say that, I would imagine that yeah, he's technically my grandfather. It was my grandma's last husband. They had two children together, but he's not my mom's dad, if that makes sense. But he would always be like, "Oh, that light skin, that good." So I had thought that my grandma was gonna be really light skinned and like have this long wavy hair, and that's not. She looked more like me, and so I was like, "Oh, okay." Anyway, it was it's just interesting, the hair thing, the skin thing, like it pits us against each other because I don't think white people care. I don't think white people look at the black people and be like, "Oh, you're better because of your hair." You know what I mean? Like they just see us as black, as far as I know. Um, Black people do not have the privilege of individualism. Okay, that's a good point. I wish 24 years ago there were more videos on biracial hair because it would have made my life easier. I have stick straight hair, my girls have curly hair, and I had no clue what I was doing at first. So yeah, yeah, definitely. I'm grateful for all the videos. It's interesting. And Cheyenne has a different grade of hair than I do, but I was grateful for it. It was easier to comb because I wasn't one of those girls like my older sisters were very much. They had that doll head and would braid hair and do all this stuff. I was not into any of that, and I did not like for people to play in my hair. I still am very tender headed. Yes, sir. What's going on? What are you looking at over there? Here, let's. You want to play with this? Oh, here. Oh, it's the bells that you like, Liberty. You like the. It's not your toy. You want to play with your toy? You want to join the drummers? You could be the maracas. La cucaracha, la cucaracha. That's the only song I know with maracas. Um, I am not biracial, but I have very curly hair and hazel eyes, and I've had people comment that if I was a baby with a white man, if I have a, they'll be so cute. It's very offensive. My baby will be cute. I know that's right. Yes, yeah. So Cheyenne is not biracial either, but she has a very curly hair, and her eyes are not hazel, but they're like a light brown. You could see it better like if she's standing directly in the light, which is why I'm saying they're not hazel because I feel like with or without light you can see hazel eyes. But yeah, it was. Yeah, they. And also, when she was little, people would be like, and relatives, oh well, her hair is gonna change. Like, you can't even just let her just be a baby. Like you're predicted. It didn't. It stayed. It is what it is. But I thought that was like very weird. I'll show you guys for some of you guys who don't know who Cheyenne is. That's my oldest. Let me see if I go to TikTok. I mean, not TikTok. Instagram. I'll show you what her hair looks like. I really feel like the future is going to be blended children. And then we don't have to worry about any of this. Like, let's stop perpetuating that. There's so many benefits to health wise. Oh my god, I'm like, what is her name? Get on the connector. Can I find one with her hair down? No, that one. Let me zoom in. That's cute. I don't even know if she's gonna get mad at me for having her up on my video, but let's see. So this is my daughter. There's her curls. Um, I mean, I have curls too, but not the same way that she has. Not the same way that her curls are there. But it was when she was little, people would always ask her like what race she was, and I would be like, just tell me you're black, black, and some more black. Especially when she came to New York. We came here when she was 13. They wanted her to be something other than black. Oh, you're Dominican, you're Puerto Rican, you're la la la. I'm like, no, baby, you're just black. And then she did some research. Some of our people come from some island somewhere. I don't know what it is, but I'm like, they're still black, babe. They're just not black Americans, but they're still black. As a light-skinned black woman, I've had experiences not feeling black enough. Eventually, I just accepted myself for the multifaceted person I am. I know that's right, brown eye queen. Exactly. It's sad that slave mentality, many blacks suffer with who cares about some blue eyes and just some foolishness, and grown people say that. I know. The weird thing is that it is grown people and it's perpetuating that. And children are listening. Like, it deeply impacted my self-esteem. As a that was one of the other things, like my high school sweetheart who I moved to New York with, not Cheyenne's dad though. People always get that confused. He was the first person to ever tell me I was beautiful, and it was like the most magical thing in the world, because I sincerely thought I could never be beautiful because beauty meant that you were light skinned with like good hair. So yeah, I have heard that a lot. I have heard that. Yeah. Shar, I am biracial. Apparently, I routinely annoy African Americans who feel the need to box me into blackness. You're beautiful. I'm beautiful, but I'm supposed to just ignore my 11 white aunts and uncles. Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's like, I think it is really a slave mentality of like trying to group people into something. And then people talk about other people's children's hair, like, oh, they got that hair, they need a perm. Like, how dare you say that to someone's child, like they need a perm? You know, that's the hair that grows out of their head. That's their natural hair. If they want to rock their natural hair, let them rock that. Like, don't force them to try to pretend, or I shouldn't say pretend, that sounds judgy, but to assimilate. Don't force them to try to assimilate if that's not their jam. It's ridiculous. However you identify as your choice. We are going to have experiences as a black person, but no, you shouldn't say I'm black. Ignore your white relatives, right? Which is why I think it's only an American thing too. Like, I don't feel like, you guys let me know, because obviously I've only lived in America. But like, if you've lived other places, do they call people biracial, or are they forcing them to be black even if they have like white in them and white relatives? Are they forcing them to like deny that? How does that work? And the other thing too, like for me, I don't identify as African American. I identify as American. Only because I just don't feel like they do that in other places. And some people are like, oh, that's embracing who you are. But is it? I mean, as far as identity, I identify as black. And then as I'm just American, like I don't want to have a caveat. Like, I was born here, my mom was born here, her mom was born here. Like, we're Americans. And so, yeah, I don't know. For me, I African American means like you came, literally you came from Africa and are here now in America. Maybe first generation, maybe your parents did, but that's a whole other, that's my own identity. Angela, I've been watching you for a while. Congrats. Thank you. Can you explain why you went to an immunologist? I went to an immunologist based on a recommendation from a second opinion. My company will, as one of the benefits, there's this Grand Rapids second opinion. So I went to where I didn't actually go there. My records were reviewed by a woman in San Francisco from UC San Francisco. And that was one of the things. I was identified as recurrent pregnancy loss because I had 3 miscarriages on the way to Sugar Bear. And so they wanted to see if there was an immunological issue, right? Was there some reason why my body was rejecting the embryos that were happening? So that's why I ended up going to an immunologist. And I was like borderline on my inflammation, but he ended up putting me on an inflammation protocol, and that ended up getting me my Sugar Bear. Now, mind you, correlation is not causation, right? So it could have been that I was going to get Sugar Bear that round anyway. But that is, as a part of that journey, I was on that protocol, and that's what helped the baby stick around and be here in my arms today, wiggling like crazy. Say not like crazy, mom, like baby. I'm a baby. That's my job. I wiggle. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Do you guys do Miss Monica? She has that wiggle dance. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Shake, shake, shake. He likes to do that. My mom was like, look, he's even on beat when we were in California to do it. Well, he didn't get that from me, that's for sure. Bless you. Because your mama is never on beat. That's another thing black people are judge you about. If you can't dance, they are like, you must not be black. Okay. Um They want you to do donor eggs immediately because it's more expensive. They earn more money. Selling you donor eggs and using your own. Everything is money. Oh, is that why they're looking at the AMH to tell you your chances are some? I will say I'm grateful that I went to two different reproductive endocrinologists that allowed me to try with my own eggs. And so, because I know some, like the first one, RMA was not going to let me. Foolish me. I should have ran right away. That's how I got talked into IUIs. Another money grab, right? Um, Sir, where is your arm tangled up in my robe? Yeah, I'm listening. And then what happened? Oh, you want to eat again? You want boob, but I'm gonna see if I can give you this bottle. He's like, but mom, I can smell the real milk right there. That makes sense, Lisa. I didn't think about it. I mean, it's a business. My fertility doctor put me on ubiquinol and CoQ10 6 months before IVF. And I was taking it faithfully. I was happy that I got pregnant naturally, but unfortunately resulted. Oh, in the second ectopic. Okay. Yeah, I didn't realize that you lost the second tube. I'm sorry about that. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna put a boob in this one. Okay, I understand. I understand. You don't want the bottle. Okay. Yep. The boob is right there. Yep, you're right. You're right. You're right about all the things. I'm gonna give it to you. Okay. Okay, look, it's out and you're fighting me so you don't even know. Yeah, okay. If you guys can see the way he just tackled that nipple. um, so I feel like CoQ10 is the ubiquinone form. I think that if I remember correctly. But yeah, either way, it's definitely helpful. I don't believe in AMH either. It's so oppressive. He's calm unless he wants that boob, yes. I had 3 miscarriages now. Congratulations, Simone. Hi everyone. Hey Shamika. Oh hey, you made it. Staying positive. You all can hear me. Okay. They're saying congratulations. Hey, I'm well. How are you, Jess Fame? They're still black, right? Oh my god. Beautiful as many different colors, shapes, sizes, and ethnicities. Just ignorance creating insecurities in young children. Yes, and you know what? I was glad, like I mean, I'm not gonna praise them too much, but at least like the fashion industry started recognizing like different shades, different shapes. Like we're all beautiful. It's not a cookie cutter thing, and I think the more we are able to relay that to children, then we cut down on all these damn surgeries for everybody. Is it me or does everybody like on TikTok look the same? Like the beauty community, like the same nose, the same whatever. And somehow I feel like beauty gets lost in that, right? It's like they're trying to AI beauty. And so they have yes, sir. His mom's old floppy boob is flopping out of his mouth. He's like, I'm gonna need you to hold that, ma'am. Um, I notice that people nitpick at biracial children. I'm so protective of my son, and I have to undo all. Oh yeah, I feel like his white grandparents are so relieved. Oh, I didn't even think about that. They said that was a thing with the royal family too, right? Like when oh my god, what is her name? I can see her face. Megan had the son, which I don't even know his name. They were worried he was going to be too dark. Like, what does that even mean? Does that impact your ability to love that person? And what does that say about you? Shame on you. They're children. You know what I mean? For goodness sakes, they're children. Um, they fear discrimination from him. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. In France, biracial is not considered black. Okay. That's what I was wondering. I believe, and I'll have to research it. I'll drop it in the description later if I find out that I'm totally wrong. There is a law on the books that there's a certain percentage of blackness that mandates that you be black, and I think it comes over from slavery. If anybody knows what I'm talking about, chime in. But I don't. I didn't make that up. My natural hair journey has been long and not always supported journey, but once I decided to start my lock journey, I finally felt comfortable in my own hair and said, "Oh, good for you." I love it. I love it. And yeah, I get judged too because sometimes you guys know I straighten my hair. I think it's called natural straight, and they're like, "Oh, you're not rocking." It's still my hair. Like I just had it. He's sleepy. Okay. 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 He is totally sleepy, and don't feel like wrestling with this old titty. um. Oh my god. Hello. Is it Tanya? Tania? Um. I'm glad you're well too. Whoop, whoop. Okay, I think I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go rock him for a little bit and give him some attention. Thank you guys for jumping on. I appreciate all of you. If I didn't get to your question, you have a question, you can always email me, Tanika at simplytanika.com. Replay crew, drop a blue heart or any color heart that you like in the comments so that we know that you came by afterwards. Check out the live chat because I will enable that for anybody who's watching afterwards so you can see, because I don't put everything up on the screen. If you really want to be a part of the conversation, if you haven't hit the like button, y'all, you know, all the YouTubey things, please do that for me. It helps me out. It helps Sugar Bear out. It's going to help us get that next baby, right? I appreciate all of you guys. I love you. Be blessed. Stay strong. All right, y'all. Baby dust to you all.